Call the meeting to order. Let the record reflect that we have Mike, Marianne, myself, our student rep, and Dan. Isaac just left to go get his arm checked out. So, flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have any additions, changes to the agenda?
Just an announcement that this District 3 is resigning his board
Do you want to
position.
do that first, or do you want to do it at the end?
Just do it first, I think. We'll just
Okay.
add it in there.
So can I get a motion to approve the updated agenda, adding in
I
his
make a
announcement?
motion to approve the updated agenda.
All in favor? Okay. So, do you want to do it now, or before public comments, or after?
I would put it as first item after public comments.
Perfect, okay. All right. Public comments. Did everyone sign up that needed to sign up or wanted to sign up? The total time allowed for public comment is 30 minutes. Each speaker has a maximum of 3 minutes. Public comment period is the only time that the public is recognized to speak. This is not a time for dialogue between the board and the public, but rather an opportunity for the board to listen to individuals on educational issues, and board members are encouraged to listen attentively. The board chair or superintendent might ask a speaker a clarifying question or respond to a specific comment. If you have a specific question or issue that you would like the district to follow up on, please let us know and someone will contact you within 72 hours. Finally, please remember that your words have impact on you, not the school district, and you, not the school district, are responsible for your words. We ask that you help us model for our students what a respectful and inclusive community looks and sounds like. So, Whitney, you are first.
Good evening. I just wanted to touch base on one of the topics for tonight. It's the superintendent performance evaluation. I'm sure you guys will touch base on this a little more later, and I'm hoping to get some more clarity on it. So for the Sultan School District, the superintendent performance evaluation only has 3 standards on it, whereas the Washington State School Directors Association has 8. So I'm kind of curious, if we are only going to utilize the 3, why? And why the other 8, which, 3 isn't even half of this, aren't being utilized. Not only that, the sample template from the Washington State School Directors Association does have 6 sections for standards. And again, the section, it looks like that was copy and pasted by the school, only has 3. A few of these standards I do want to just present, because one of them I feel like has been an ongoing issue for my family and other families within the district. Standard 1 is mission, vision, core values, effective educational leadership, advocate and interact in shared mission, vision, and core values of high quality education and academic success for the well-being of their students. Standard 2, equity and cultural responsiveness. Standard 3, curriculum, instruction, and assessment, and it just says the same thing repeating. Standard 4, community of care and support for students. Standard 5, professional capacity of school personnel. Standard 6, meaningful engagement of families and community. Effective educational leaders engage families and the community in meaningful, reciprocal, and mutually beneficial ways to promote each student's academic success and well-being. Standard 7, operations of management. And Standard 8, collaboration with the board. I feel like Standard 6 should definitely be included, as building your community within your school is a really important piece of what we do every day. Parent partnerships, and I've said this probably for the last 7 months now, are a big part of what we do to help our children achieve success within the schools. It is a partnership. Even if parents have communication that might not be reciprocated with the board or the superintendent. I feel like our communications should still be valued, and there are reasons why we are voicing concern or discontent or need for change. I feel like need for change and cultural change is huge for this school, and it needs to be implemented immediately. I feel like this year, out of the last 15 years, and yes, I will say 15 years, because I feel like preschool is part of education too, this has been my hardest year with my daughter in a school district ever. And she's been to a couple because we've moved throughout the years. We bought our house 7 years ago to have our child here in a small community, small town, small school, not 1,500, 3,000 students. We like what's normally about 700 to 500. We are now facing the hard decision, and we have decided to move our child starting next year to a different school district due to lack of family communication, engagement, disrespect, disregard for feelings, opinions, eye rolling. I feel like the communication here is, for lack of a better word, it's pretty appalling. I don't think I've ever been treated or talked to with such disregard or disdain than the people that I have been here. So we will be busing our child around next year to a different school in hopes of the school changing in 3 years when our next child potentially goes through the district. But I do feel like meaningful engagement of families and community should be included in the superintendent performance evaluation. And again, I hope to hear more when we go over that tonight.
And you'll be happy to know that most of those questions will be answered when I talk about the evaluation later on. Are you timing? I forgot to.
Oh,
yes.
no, I can do that.
Okay, next we have Jeff Estes.
I've been coming up here and speaking for years, but I still get a little nervous. Thank you, school board and administration, for allowing me to come speak. I'm Jeff Estes, and I reside in Startup. The first part here is for the audience, and that's that school boards need to hear from students, parents, and family members about what is working and what is not working, what services are needed, and what your priorities are for your child's education. Personal stories are powerful tools for change. Effective school boards, the rest of this is for the school board here. Effective school boards commit to a vision of high expectations for student achievement and quality instruction and define clear goals toward that vision. Effective boards make sure these goals remain the district's top priorities and that nothing else detracts from them. High-quality board members possess critical thinking abilities, make informed decisions, and provide effective oversight. Effective school board members can see a path forward. They understand where the district succeeds and where the district has challenges. And they have a vision for not only what a better district will look like, but also how to get there. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Richard, you are next.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Richard Kinnison, reside here in Gold Bar. Got 2 kids here in the district, one in middle school, one in the high school. Some of the things I was going to cover tonight, I finally got time to go through the capital facilities plan and made some notes, some questions I had regarding that. The appendices that were attached to that are from the 2020 to 2025 capital plan, but this is on the 22 to 27 plan. I'd like to know if there's any more current information that we have, more accurate projections that we could use that would be more valid. Page 11, they're talking about the limit of service for middle school and high school and elementary school. We're proposing a new elementary school first, despite being 10 under the limit per classroom, whereas the middle school and high school, we're already at our limit of service. Page 15, students' capacity is being underreported at every single level, given the number of teaching classrooms we have written into the district based on the size of the buildings they're originally constructed. We're reporting, what you're reporting as maximum capacity is the district's goals, not what the actual maximum capacity is based off the limit of service. Question I have is, why are 38% of our teaching stations not being utilized for teaching? Who's the one who decided not to utilize them for teaching? And what are they being used for currently by the district?
Currently, I think it said 1,777 is our limit. Our limit of service states it's 33,742 with a 1,947 student surplus capacity, not a deficit as proclaimed later on in the document. Page 20, again, it states, there's a typo in there, it states 1,228 max, when it's using the math with the numbers you gave, it's actually 1,260, so it was approved, that was an oversight. Again, surplus of students, not a deficit. Issues with the finances. We proposed an $80 million bond that failed. We didn't include the $54 million in interest. District website stated that it was $2 million for elementary school addition. Document states $10.9 million. District site says $29.1 million for another addition. $10.9 million is listed on the document. $48.9 million for the new elementary school. The document states $76.3. $18 million worth of difference in between the two. Nothing has been mentioned to the public yet. I was wondering when that might happen for the proposed, from my calculations, $141+ million worth of bond that's going to be needed for this new high school later on that you plan to add. I'm sure they would like to hear about that. And my last thing would be the agenda item 10, resolution 2404, asking for more authority to transfer funds from capital levy. Why are we transferring funds from Prop 2 capital levy technology component to the general fund or the capital fund when Prop 1 was supposed to pay for salaries and payroll? It seems like we're robbing Peter to pay Paul, and I feel like something needs to be done as far as auditing purposes go, whether it's locally or at the state level. Thank you.
We're not talking about capital facility plan tonight, are we?
Dan's gonna talk about that resolution. It's not how it was just portrayed, but he'll
No,
explain.
yeah, like the capital, because we just had the conversation where Mary Ann came in, and it's more a misunderstanding of what the capital facility plan is and
So
the LOS.
that
and all
number, the limit is, if you're under 30 or if you're over that, you can't collect impact fees. So there's broad misunderstanding about a lot of those numbers, a very
Yeah.
technical document. But the next meeting, we'll go through each and every question and answer it. Lots of inaccurate information.
I just read off the document.
It's a misunderstanding of what those numbers actually mean. I can't read the person. Who else wanted to speak? I cannot read this. Somebody said yes. Any idea? Someone say yes? Mark, yes?
Oh, it looks like maybe just
No?
signature and then like this one right here.
Oh. Yeah, I don't.
Well, if no one's gonna claim it, then.
Who came in right after you, Richard?
Oh, that's
Signature.
okay, nice.
Okay.
We're okay then.
I saw Paula come in before me. I didn't see who came in after.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
It was
we'll
right
go
after you.
Sorry.
My guess it could be.
Yeah. Well, since your name's on there, you have to get up now and talk, so. All right, let's move on. Any questions, comments on the consent agenda? No? Can I get a motion to approve consent agenda, please?
Motion to approve consent agenda.
All right, so moved. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. So now we have SMS and SHS Students of the Month. Yeah?
you get to go. Oh, can we clap?
So this is to, I'm trying to figure out where it is on here.
You're good right there.
Okay.
Just a second. So we wanted to recognize Emma Nelson, who's the April Turk of the Month at Sultan High School. Before the meeting, her dad came up to me and said, "Hey, is it okay to take a picture?" And I said, "Of course it is." So we just wanted to share, you know, in front of the community and whoever attended the board meeting, all of the great things that Emma did at Sultan High School to be recognized as Student of the Month. And so, not done yet, Emma, so let's give her a big hand. So, Mom and Dad, if you guys want to come up and take a picture with Emma.
Oh.
We're doing our best to embarrass you. So, yeah.
There's like some people from like different states watching on the live.
So say hi.
To give you a little more of the criteria that Sultan High School picked out,
I don't know where the camera
I'm over here if you wanna smile. I got your moms. You guys wanna all smile? And once, I think they're all coming by you, so you're gonna have a picture with the board.
We might have to go in front. We're
And
kinda
short.
Okay, you're going on this side, then I'll just walk right up here too. Real.
You're good.
Okay.
Alright, on the count of 3, Emma's awesome. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Emma's awesome.
You want to stand here for the whole meeting?
I just want to say, with Emma, it took a lot to get her to get where she's at. She, she struggled through school, since kindergarten, and she's done fantastic. And
We appreciate your hard work.
and behalf of all of us, my family, my wife's family, thank you.
You're welcome.
So-
Thank you.
to give you a little bit more, the high school recognized her for hard work on academics. They refer to her as being kind and helpful to everyone, and staff and students alike. And so she's always has a smile on her face, and way to go to a fantastic Turk, Emma. Good job.
And you guys,
What grade are you in?
A senior.
do we have a middle school one?
She graduates this year. Matter of fact,
I don't
she's
know if I
looking forward
do.
to that.
Thank you. You guys are welcome to leave. You don't have to hang out.
The whole house tonight.
All right. Do we have the FMS students?
Sultan Middle School students, is Jenna Nielsen here, Cody Garcia, April Canfield, Stephanie Hernandez, Haley Harris, or Jose Robles?
Maybe they didn't get the memo?
No, we talked to the middle school, but nevertheless, those are the Skyhawks of the month for third quarter, Skyhawks of the quarter for third quarter.
Awesome. More good stuff. We have WASA award recipients.
So WASA is Washington Association of School Administrators. Every year in Region 109, which is the region we're in, each school district recommends a volunteer of the year and a person that makes a big difference in the academics of students. And so we have tended to rotate schools because there are deserving people, volunteers, and staff members in each school. This year was Gold Bar. And so wanted to recognize Buddy Hunt as the volunteer of the year, as recommended by many people. Is Buddy here?
Congratulations, buddy.
And our counselor, Mr. Dave Monson. Heather, will you say a couple words about Dave and all of the work that he's done? She wrote the narrative, and we recently, last week, went to an awards celebration, and really proud to be associated with both Dave and Buddy.
I don't have the scripted narrative in front of me, but the award specifically spoke to was closing the achievement gap. And I think an area that we don't often recognize is how valuable the social emotional learning component is to closing that achievement gap. And Mr. Monson, he helps lead and coordinate the second step lessons in our classrooms. He meets with groups regularly. Every day he's got a tribe of children just following him wherever he goes, helping with friendship groups and social emotional connections. He leads our green team. He's at every one of our after school events. And just in general, the amount of work that he's doing specific to social emotional learning and mental health in our classrooms it's making a difference academically. So.
Thank you, Awesome. Anything else you want to say? We good?
Good to go.
Okay. Cameron, student voice.
Yeah, that's me. Hi, I'm Cameron Skeeth. I'm a junior at the high school, and I have some things I'm gonna talk about. So, as of last week, our softball teams, their season's officially over. But some exciting news is we had 4 athletes from track and field go to state and competed this last week. The 4 athletes that went was Blessing Ayodeji, Joy Ayodeji, Toby Trichler, and Ben Dillinger. And I have the placings that I know people that placed right now. So Toby Trichler took 3rd in high jump, Ben Dillinger took 12th in javelin, and then Joy Ayodeji took 4th in high jump and 4th in javelin. And I don't know what she did, how she did discus. I did not get that info.
We're not talking about it.
Okay, good, not talking about it. But she played 4th, so overall there. So that was really exciting for them. So those are our state peoples. And then moving on to our ASB stuff. So ASB elections are now over for the high school. So soon those new roles will be, those new people will be going into their spots. AKA like Miss Millie Brumwell over here will be our new ASB president. And then last Thursday, we had our academic awards, and it was really great seeing all the students and families there. There was lots and lots of awards handed out. It was great seeing students just enjoy the fact that they're getting awards for their great GPAs, they're just great grades in classes, and teachers talking about how amazing their students are. So, yeah, that's all I got.
Thank you, Cameron. And Cameron also is starting up a Instagram account for the student rep, so we discussed that today. So we'll be on the lookout for that when you get it going. Do we have committee and association reports?
Yes.
Yay! Come on up.
You ready, Kayla? We even have a PowerPoint for you.
Ooh.
I don't know if you can see it from there, but it's in the board packet. Nice. So for SEA, Gold Bar Elementary is sharing to this month. And our school theme for this year is Our School Swims Together. Next. The one thing that I want to make really apparent is we're going to have Community Day on June 7th from 10 to 1. And Community Day is combined with Touch a Truck this year, but it's the one day a year where our families get to come out and they get to see everything that the kids put together. And it's ocean themed this year, and we have everything from beautiful coral reefs lining our hallways to layers of the ocean represented in classrooms to bioluminescent animals that even second graders are pronouncing and learning about anglerfish and the blobfish, unfortunately. And it's really cool that they get to show their participation as a school community together and share it with our community. And it'd be really cool if you guys could show up and be there, because they've put so much hard work into it and it is such a fun event. And this year we're matching it with Touch a Truck. So we'll have the fire department, the police officers, we'll have like, I think Shannon, Community Transit's bringing a bus out. We'll have multiple different types of like dump trucks and big semis and stuff. No horns this year, I promise. Yep. We will have Camp Houston come out and have a presentation with some kids. Who else is coming? The Conservation District and PUD will be there. So there's a lot of people from our community that come out, not just families, but it's really cool that kids get to show off. Also, big kids, really cool when you show up too, and you come in and you're like, wanna go around, guys? They love that. They act weird because they're scared, but they love it after. Okay, and then last month, our Husky Harmony, which is our choir, had 9 kids go to honor choir, which is huge. Last year they only sent 3, so they've tripled in size. It's a really big honor to be able to be chosen. You have to have your own video of how you perform, and then you actually get selected. And so it was cool that we had 9 kids go. They practiced at night on Thursday. Hugely long day on Saturday for their final performance on Saturday. And you guys can see the recording on YouTube if you look up the honor choir. It's really amazing to see these kids come to life because half of them are like the shyest kids you've ever met in your entire life, and then they get on stage and they're like, here I am. And Lindsay Martin has done such an amazing job giving them the opportunity to perform and to perform in different ways. We've had a performance where our 5th graders dribbled basketballs to the beat while singing. That looked hard. Talent shows, all sorts of things. So I want to give her a shout out that she's been doing an amazing job. And then lastly for my part, after school clubs. One thing that I wanted to make clear last summer when I met with many of you was we have a lot of kids that don't have a lot of opportunities in Gold Bar. And having more clubs in the evening gives them something to do. And so over half of our student body has participated in 1 or more clubs. That's a huge amount of our kids served. We have art clubs where there's 60 kids in 3, 4, 5 that come and participate, and 60 kids in K1, 2 that come and participate every week. Elena has decided to take on TK, which is our preschoolers, and hand painting and mixing paint in their hands to change colors. That's crazy, and having them come and just be able to create new things and then share with their parents has been really fun. Board game club. Spencer Reed has spent all year serving 60 kids in a revolving door, teaching them new games every single week and managing them with like not a lot of support. He has been amazing at keeping those kids active and engaged and learning how to be on a team and learn how to lose and learn how to play according to the rules. And then finally our soccer and basketball clubs. Norton and Monson both did basketball club in the fall. You're welcome. They'll get there. And they had a ton of kids participate in the winter, about 40. And now Miss Norton is doing soccer club, which had another 40 kids participate. Sports clubs are really popular at the elementary school. It's teaching them how to be on a team. That is the biggest thing at the elementary level. So we're giving them as many possibilities as we possibly can. And I want to say thank you. Thank you for honoring the fact that we need club money because that's going to important things. It's going right back to their shiny, happy faces.
You're welcome and thank you.
So I'm Leslie Neville. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Gold Bar. And I walked into the gym on Friday and I was blown away. So a new club is Cart Club. And so our Cart Club is composed of 1st through 5th graders, and they already designed a cart that's going to be part of the Gold Dust Days festivities. And so this is a new tradition. And it was so cool just seeing 1st graders and 5th graders collaborating to make a cart. So there's a picture of the cart they created, which is pretty phenomenal.
They're gonna race it
Oh, yeah.
this summer, and somebody has to ride inside. So if you're over 13 and kind of small, maybe you want to jump inside.
Someone, alumni, who could do that. And then another thing I wanted to share is the 3rd grade team this year has really prioritized project-based learning and going on field trips. And so in the fall, we learned about salmon, so the life cycle, how we make sure the environment is clean so salmon thrive. And so we partnered with Sound Salmon Solutions. One of my teammates got a grant, and we had people come out and teach about the life cycle and things that make it so salmon can thrive and things that are harming salmon. And then we raised salmon in a little tank and released them in Reese Park into the Salton River. And it was such an amazing experience. It was also the first field trip that our kids had. So after that, we're like, hey, we're not done. We're going to find a way to have another field trip. And so last Tuesday, The kids went to the Hubbub Cultural Center on the Tulalip Reservation. One thing third graders learn about is about indigenous cultures in the Pacific Northwest. And so we learned a lot about that in the fall and then followed up about it more recently. And this was the first time that many of our kids went to a museum. And so I just wanted to share a little bit about the field trips. And I know as we're talking about budget cuts, finding ways to provide these opportunities, because these are not just enrichment activities. These are, you know, essential, it supports essential standards and supports what the work we're doing in the classroom. And they're amazing opportunities for these kids.
And then the last one is first grade forest days. If you went to Gold Bar, how many of you guys did forest days? Yeah, raise it higher. Thank you. How many of you guys remember doing forest days? Yeah. So as not teaching, that removed from first grade. In fourth grade, every single one of my kids can remember forest days, and they're like, that was the most fun day of my life, every single year. They think forest days is the absolute best thing that has ever happened to them. And Phyllis Tubbs and Tanya Christian have organized it year in and year out. And I know this year they have not had the opportunity except for this one day. And it taught all those kids hands-on science, and they involved literacy standards. And this group of first graders really needs some team building, and they were able to learn that right away. How do you be a team so we can get through this stuff and we can have fun? And so having that opportunity to go and hands-on learn and do science in nature where it happens, really cool. Really cool opportunity for them.
Maybe you want to go to forest days.
Mm-hmm. We do too. Awesome. Well, thank you, and I hope you're able to come to Community Day on the 7th.
Big time.
It'll be amazing.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thank
it. All right, Mike Marin, so we have a teaching and learning update. Hi.
Good evening, board, audience. Glad to be here, and I have just a few updates. We are in the process of wrapping up state testing. We have some that will be testing next week, but we're trying to get them all wrapped up. So high school is just doing some makeups, and middle school is at makeup point now. So there's a couple elementary classes have chosen to do it into June, which is completely allowed. And so interesting fact, 1,742 records, which means that's how many opportunities we've presented to our 3rd through 8th graders, the 10th graders, and the 11th graders. So that's how many are logged in. So that means that, you know, in some cases, if you're an 11th grader, an 8th grader, or 5th grader, you're taking 3 tests. So just giving you that fun number. I thought that was kind of interesting. Second, we're getting ready to close our transition to kindergarten registration, our interest form, and we'll be doing the screening in June this year instead of August to let families know it sooner. That's a request from our community members that gave us that. So we're going to be doing that, and so we should have some decisions about that by the end of June is what we're telling folks. And then just planning, some of them are moved beyond just planning. Summer professional development, which will happen mostly in August. We'll have a day of multilingual learners. We just before the meeting, I got the program reevaluation that we finished 2 weeks ago. So we'll be trying to implement those, and we'll be sharing those as soon as we get the final done. And then we will, K-5 math adoption, they'll be doing a math day along with secondary on August 27th. We're going to make that math day. And technology offerings through the technology department, things that for new teachers, and then we're also bringing in our trainer for elementary for Fontes of Vanel, which is our ELA series, and they will be doing some new teacher. We have some, because of some departmentalization going to single classrooms, we're going to actually go back and train some of the folks that have been doing that. So that's 5th grade. And so we'll have a couple of teachers that have been with us for a long time, but they're going to go be teaching ELA for the first time next year. So And then all the campuses will have adults, teachers, and administration going to the PLC training in August. So it's just a few of the updates. Just wanted to make sure that. So, any questions?
Questions?
Okay.
Where's PLC training this year?
Seattle.
Oh,
So,
thank
yeah,
goodness.
yes. yes.
Mike, anything?
We said that same.
Thank you very much.
Yes, thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
You bet.
Dr. Douglas.
Good evening, directors. I'm going to be very short and let these ladies speak tonight. They're going to talk about our student support advocates. There are two of them that are here this evening. We have Bethany Clonell and Elizabeth Emmons. Our third one is Mariana Medina. She had a prior commitment. So I'm going to let them talk about our program. It's a fantastic program that we get supported from Snohomish County Behavioral Health from. So this is our, how many years have you been doing it?
This is my 6th school year.
6.
Yeah.
And we were able to add Elizabeth a year ago, so I'll let you guys talk about the program.
Okay. First of all, I have to say it's so awesome to see so many high schoolers here tonight, so that's really wonderful. Basically what a student advocate is that it's our job to just try to overcome barriers. So it looks different every day. Sometimes it's just because someone's having a really hard day and they need someone to talk to, then they can come and see us. Sometimes families feel like they need an extra help, and sometimes they'll come and meet with us, and we try to, sometimes we meet with teachers and families. We help with clothing, if anybody needs any clothing. We work with all the nonprofits to try to make sure that kids have anything they need, whether it's school supplies or toothbrushes or just anything. A lot of times our day is different every day. Some days, mine's a little bit different at the high school, because a lot of times I take kids to like medical appointments, because times are really rough out there, and not everybody can take a day off work to take their kid to a doctor's appointment, but that kid has to go. Or sometimes the kid is sick and mom and dad can't take another day off work, and so the high school utilizes me slightly different because the kids are much older. And so sometimes I'm just taking a kid home because they're so sick and parent can't miss that much more work, or maybe just taking them to an appointment. Yeah, every day looks different for us. There's been times that we're helping the family more, and there's times that we help the kid more. We are student advocates, but if you help a family, you help everybody, not just that kid. And we think parents are like the most important thing, whether those are your biological parents or aunts and uncles stepping in or fostering or whatever that might look like in your family. More than anything, we're just supposed to be there to be used in any way that a student needs or any way that their family needs. And the wonderful thing is that we don't cost you guys any money. The district actually gets paid back for us from Snohomish County, which is really amazing. And it's to just, they realize how hard it is out there, so they tried to put people in different schools just to try to help as much as we can with anything that anybody's going through. Like I said, whether it's grief or it's, I just need help today, I'm just having a bad day, or it's, I need someone to listen, I need someone to take me to a doctor's appointment, whatever it might be. Anyway, every single day is different. And basically we tease that, but it's just a half joke, that we literally, our job is just to love on everyone and just to be there. And so, did you want to add anything to that?
You pretty much covered it. At the middle school, spend a lot of time talking to kids about what they want to do after high school and trying to keep their eye on the prize once they leave our school to go up there. Make sure everybody knows about College Bound if they're eligible, which is the different scholarships, and just talking about motivation. We work with kids who are having a hard time showing up at school, finding out why they're not coming, and working with families and the kids, and whether it's repeated phone calls, emails, home visits, just figuring out how we can make the kids want to be at school. And it's an incredible job and an opportunity that we're both very grateful to serve in this capacity.
I can honestly say that every day I'm happy to go to work. You guys are awesome. It's a really wonderful community to live in and work in. And I know that we can't fix everything. And we hope that every year we look back and we would do a little bit of a better job, because that means just as you guys are growing, that we're growing as well. And so if you guys have anything that you guys are struggling with, please reach out to us. And we can't always fix it, but sometimes we know somebody who can. And that's a big part of our role, is actually making sure that if you need the help, you can get it. And just one is that we all have a background in psychology. All three of us have a psych degree. And then some of us have a little bit more than that. And then some of us keeps getting certifications so they can do every single role in the school. So just, you know, if you ever need anything or you're going through something, you don't have to be alone, right? So. I think
Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah,
We
we appreciate you guys.
The board
Yeah.
appreciate it.
See you guys tomorrow.
It's so nice to hear all the good things that are being done. Board role updates. We don't really have, there's no ledge rep update. Any other updates that you guys would like to share? Budget committee staff or anything?
I would like, would you be comfortable, Miss Emmons, letting us know how the police and fire charity?
I would be delighted to share. Can I share from here? or-
Yeah, from there.
Okay, so actually I'm gonna come up here. Last Sunday, we raised $4,000 for a scholarship fund through the Education Foundation. It was local police and firefighters. And Scott was amazing. He was our announcer, and we had Turk Pride TV, and there was so much support from the schools. The field looked beautiful. Everything just came together wonderfully. So thanks to everybody's efforts, we were able to do an amazing thing for the kids. The scholarship is awarded every year at the Spring Tea. It's priorities given to kids who are seeking a career as a first responder. But if, you know, someone, it's broad. We just want the money to go to the kids and to help them on their journey. And it's a really neat way for the community to support them. It's a lot of fun. So keep your eyes open for it. We love having people come. The McDonald's fry truck was there this year, and we sold a lot of chicken nuggets. They were delicious. And it was a wonderful day for a great cause.
Thank you. I'd also like to say happy birthday to you this Friday.
Should be 30, right?
Same as me. And I would like to point out that the senior class is selling tickets for a duck race. They're gonna release the ducks this Saturday, I believe, the 1st. And so they still, last I heard, because I just bought 6 of them myself, buy ducks. Support the Safe and Sober Grad Night Party, please.
This is more, well, I guess not really committee, but Mary Ann and I worked on superintendent evaluation process last week, I think it was, or the week before. And Friday, was it Friday? We went over the capital facilities plan, and we actually got an attorney on the phone who does the plans and answered all the questions as far as how everything in there, what it means, and that was really helpful. Did you find that helpful? So,
Yeah, and she
yes.
was gonna tweak some things and get an updated version back out to us.
Yeah, but understanding really what the LOS is and everything.
Oh,
that
yeah,
goes-
and talking
Yeah.
through that,
Yeah,
A lot of misunderstandings around
yes.
it.
Well, that's why she was gonna clarify more clearly some of the stuff.
Monthly financial report. Dan. We're almost to you guys, I promise. You're, I think, next.
Good evening, directors.
Sort of next.
I will keep my comments brief because I understand you do have a lengthy agenda. So as far as enrollment, we are at the May count, which is the 9th of 10 counts, so we're getting close to the end. For May, our enrollment as far as change from the prior month for traditional enrollment was up just about 2.86 plus versus the month prior. But as far as our alternative programs was down 2.45, so the net change was a 0.41. So a fairly modest overall change, up on traditional, down on ALE. I won't go over the graphs. Again, you see those each month. I have those for you, so we'll kind of just quickly flip through those. We'll get to the budget status report, which I'm required to provide to you each month. So these are for the month of April 2024. General fund, at this point, the end of April, $3,200,731. For Fund 20, capital projects, $2,372,344. Fund 30, debt service fund, $127,273. Fund 40 ASB, which again is all ASB, both elementaries, middle and high combined, 204,731. And then, excuse me, Transportation Vehicle Fund, $3,464. After that, again, is the exceptions reports, which we've kind of resurrected now that we are on the new cumulative program and trying to still kind of refine the best report exports to use for that, but it's getting better each month. If we look at the first one, which is salaries and benefits overall, so far through April, we are 1.7% below proportionate share. For the second one, the next one, material supplies and operating costs, objects 5,000 through 9999, you were 4.2% below proportionate share. And if you add both of those together and look at all objects, 2,000 through 9999, we are 2.1% below proportionate share. So through April, things look pretty good. I think everybody has understanding that we're trying to contain costs where we can, and thus far through April, things look pretty good. Again, we've still got a little ways to go, but overall, things look encouraging this year versus the same point 12 months ago. Continuing on as far as a projection at this point then, for based on information as of April 30th, a projected ending fund balance of $709,385. I do not yet have the May payroll. I'll have that tomorrow. And we also have another set of bills going out on Friday. So when we get done with May, then we'll reevaluate that number, and next month I will bring you a revised number. But as of the end of April, the number just over 700,000, 709,385 is the projected ending. And if that number did play out, that would be a 1.8% ratio. So again, next year we're going to be using 1 million as an intermediate goal, and with a goal of within 2 years getting back to the 4% minimum fund balance.
Questions? Mike, Marianne, Cameron, questions? All right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. All right, discussion of district name change and high school mascot change.
Gigi, can I switch with basketball?
Yes.
Okay, because they're waiting.
Thank you.
It's so nice of you.
Hey, I've been.
All right, approval of girls basketball camp. Hello.
Hello. I am Kwame Kendall. I am the head coach of Sultan Girls Basketball. My assistant is Teo Vandenecker, Caitlin Chapu, and Sean Rodman. And this is our mixture of varsity and JV ladies. Oh, we're asking for permission to go on an overnight trip to Newport, Washington, which is about 5.5 hours east, for team camp. We're gonna leave the 24th, come back on the 27th. Food and lodging is provided by the camp. Kids will be staying in classrooms with our female staff, as well as the males will be staying in the classroom across the hall from them. Lights are out at, I think, 10 or 10:30. 3 games a day. They call it morning, afternoon, and evening sessions for games, and then team building competitions. I think they told me they're gonna have a dancing competition, a singing competition. They're playing Twister, Team Twister, things of that nature. Last year we went to Oregon State. We took varsity only. This year we wanted to take both teams, but funding is an issue, so we're trying to work through Turk Fan Club, I believe, to figure out the best way to get everyone there. We think we have a plan in place, but my coaches have came up with some suggestions to add to that, which we'll talk with Scott and get some clarification on how to do it. You guys have any questions for us?
Do you guys have any questions? Go ahead.
In the future, could that information that you just verbally gave to us, can you include that in the packet next time? Because, like narrative, it just says basketball camp, we'll play games to improve skills and events at camp.
Yeah, there's a little more to it than that.
Thank you. Thank you. Knowing where it is, the transportation plan. So you're just asking for our approval to allow you to go, you're not asking for any budget expenditures?
No,
from
we are
us?
gonna ask for district vehicles.
So, and you're asking it to be out of the general fund, not out of ASB fund?
Not out of ASB.
Okay,
no.
it's not clear in
Yeah.
here, that's why I'm asking for clarification.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
How
You
much
are-
of the packet do you guys have? Do you have the whole packet?
We have all of these pictures of the
Okay.
forms, but it lacked, I mean, it gave us a list of who all the students were,
Cost is right.
and it says $1,100 for a school bus.
Because of the cost, we don't have the revenues for that, we're going to just ask to take varsity so we can travel in 2 vans that would be district vans, so it's the cost of gasoline, not a driver.
Okay,
The
so,
cost there was going to be to take a bus, which would include a driver staying in a hotel for multiple days while the team was at camp. So this is more cost-effective plan.
so this is changing from what's in our packet.
This is a change from the original
Okay.
request.
So can I make a motion to approve their overnight travel for their trip with them using 2 vans and only having gasoline expense?
Yes, you can make a motion.
Before I approve, why can't we send everybody?
well, that's the question that we were asking.
So originally, when the bus was in play of taking those, only varsity because of the expenses, so we were trying to discuss this before, trying to figure out how JV could still go. So when funding was in play, we had parents step up and say they would fund it regardless for JV to go. So they would just we'd provide outsourced transportation for them, whether it's parents bringing JV as well. So the varsity would be using 2 district vehicles, and then JV's parents.
So JV will be able to go.
Yes. Unless there's a better option.
So the question I do have with that is, Turk Fan Club said they would pay $1,500. The kids were gonna donate 75 back.
Mhm.
So if the JV ladies wanna come, how do we go about, is that just something separate? So the JV ladies are gonna
Right.
pay $150.
Right.
They're gonna
No,
pay
I get
their
what you're
whole-
saying. We
yeah.
can talk about it after. I can talk to you and Scott.
Okay.
Because I can't, Turk
Yeah.
Fan Club has,
That's a different thing.
whatever
There's
happens.
a Turk
But I
Fan
do
Club
have a
meeting
check for
tomorrow at 5.
$1,500 for you from Turk Fan Club right
Okay.
now. So you can,
The board just needs to approve.
yes, we
the
just need to
overnight
approve the overnight.
contingent. It doesn't matter if it's the 9 kids from varsity
Yeah.
or if it includes all of the ladies of the program and over. And they would all stay in the one classroom, so it's
Yes.
whether they've got 9 girls in a room or 20
Yeah.
girls in a room. The male coaches across the hallway
Yes.
anyway. So that's the ask right now.
Okay.
And the rest can be massaged tomorrow probably.
Mary Ann, do your motion?
Sounds good.
I have my motion on the floor to approve their overnight travel.
All in favor?
Caveat, I want us to be able to provide these type of things for our students. We shouldn't be cutting budgets for $1,000, so we're tripping over dollars to pick up pennies.
I completely agree.
So I don't think these are the type of things that we should be cutting.
And this is
I
one of the
approve overnight
reasons,
stay,
yes,
but in the future, we need to make sure that we are funding this.
I agree with you.
that's one of the good reasons
How are
for
these-
clubs like Turk Fan Club who have, that raise money for these kinds of things. And so if people come to us and ask, I don't know of any time we've ever really said no. It might be, well, we can't give you that much, we can give you a little less. But those are good backups to have. And for anyone that hasn't asked Turk Fan Club, ask. 'Cause that's what they raise the money for.
Especially when this camp is.
And go to the meetings every month.
Yes, go to meetings every month would be great. We don't normally talk, but go ahead.
Next time, come in
Well,
advance
I'm
and
part of
ask
the
us for the
Yeah.
coaches group, so
And then
but
have a
Kwame,
caveat that we
I
can.
think
set
Kwame
that.
had something to say before you guys
Okay.
make your motion. Did you,
No, I'm done.
you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
I guess, so as one of the assistants, I had the same question, Mike, we're talking $1,100 to have a bus that you don't have multiple vehicles going, that then you can take it would be in total 20 girls to go JV and varsity. So I agree with you 100%. It seems
Next time, just give us one more meeting in advance, that way we can talk about it.
Yeah.
And try and make sure that we can find the funds. for it.
Yeah. When it's more last minute, it's hard for us to figure that out, but
Yeah, we're at the end of the school year balancing our pennies, like
yeah.
you mentioned.
I don't,
Looking
I
over
don't
that.
And Turk Fan Club will talk to you guys about JV. We can see what, I have some pull with them, so.
So it's not really known, but we're identical twins. Having fought this battle for decades, what we did at my previous school, the bus driver took the bus with the entire team. The bus driver leaves the bus, comes back, arranges a ride, comes back. When the camp's over, drives the bus back. You don't have to pay for hotel. They get a day, you know, it's a travel thing. Yeah, you have to arrange it. Charlie would have to okay that kind of thing. But that's how we did it. We used to take kids down to Mount Rainier for camps. And the driver would leave the bus and have a family member down there, and then they'd come back. So that's another alternative.
Okay, yeah, we can look into this one. Take this.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll take them out of here. Let's go.
Bye, ladies.
Good luck.
Now we will do discussion of district name change and high school mascot change.
Oh, wait. Well, thanks for allowing me the time, you guys, and I don't really know where to start. Dan, this started out just as a kind of a fascination more than anything. And then as time went on, I started to think about the impact that names can have and so forth. So we're talking two different things. One is, I look at it as rebranding of the district, okay? We talk a lot about, and you hear it from the community, of we're at a new place, we have new demographics, we have hundreds of new families moving in. I know how many times we have tried to pass bonds and levies, and it's hard to convince sometimes people that live in Gold Bar and start up an index in those places where their tax dollars are going towards Sultan School District. And that can be a difficult thing just because they don't understand necessarily, not everybody, understand how the money works. And why would I, if my kid goes to Gold Bar, why would I support Sultan, okay? I know that firsthand because when I moved to, as a kid, I moved to, at that time it was called Langley High School on Whidbey Island. And that board felt, because times were changing, they built a new high school, and we're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to build new schools here, and we're trying to progress and so forth. They believed that if they were more inclusive with the names within the district, that would solve a lot of the problems that they were having just with the communicative aspect of things, okay? If you sound more holistic in incorporating everyone, I feel like that would be beneficial to the entire district, okay? Especially with new people moving in and they don't know the area very well, okay? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to drive up the basin and see the hundreds of new homes and how the demographics are different, okay? We have to embrace that and we have to be ready for that. So I don't have an answer, you know, like I understand if you're gonna rebrand, you're gonna rename stuff, that you have to have a lot of input in that. But I would think something like Sky Valley School District means a much better incorporation of schools rather than just the Sultan School District. Now, having done all of this research, because I'm a historian, this used to be, well, first of all, and I don't know how far I can go in this, you guys, but I started out with this as being like a, hey, where did this originate? To now I'm putting together the history of Sultan football, the history of Sultan School District, and what I have found is Sultan Gold Bar
Startup, and Index all had their own school districts way back when. And over time, they were incorporated because they couldn't afford a high school. Okay, so they all had elementary schools. And as time went on, they incorporated with Sultan, and Sultan was called Sultan Union High School. Okay, there are probably some in the audience, I don't know, probably not, that are that old.
That goes back to the 30s.
Yes, it does. It goes back to the 30s, and I have every single year you could ever think of when it happened. But
Rick, you're the only one that's had.
you're the same age as me, Zifferman. Don't start. Don't start with me, buddy. Anyways, it goes back to that, and even if you go back to that original title, the concept was unify, okay? Because they didn't want that singular name to confuse people, and I think it does. I've walked door to door in these districts in different towns out here, basically asking for their support for levies and bonds. And when you hear it from people of, why should I support it? My kids go to Gold Bar, okay? I know they needed to take my civics class in order to understand it better, but I didn't have time to teach that on their porch. So that's one thing. I think we are in a place as a district that we need to think about rebranding the district so it's more unified and inclusive, okay, to all the demographics that are moving into this area, okay. That's one thing, all right. The other part of this is the mascot, okay. Now this fascination started with me in 1996 because that's when I was hired as the head football coach and a teacher here. And I remember thinking about what a Turk was. And so I asked my players, what's a Turk? They had no idea what a Turk was. They thought it was a genie, okay? And they said, oh, it has something to do with a pirate, okay? And so I was like, oh, okay, well, this is kind of interesting, let's see where this goes. And again, please, I'm not trying to offend anybody. I just want you have to be objective when you look at this and how does it play in a modern day, okay? And as I give the history here, I'll think you might hopefully find this a little fascinating. In 1999, I started down the path of, hey, maybe we should change the mascot. Nobody knows what it is. That was the same year when I started down that road that my athletic director at that time said, your services are no longer needed as a head coach because they didn't necessarily want to change the mascot at that time. So years went by, and if you're familiar with Cairo Radio, all right, I listen to that because I'm now much more like my father than I ever thought I'd be. I listen to the radio when I come to work every morning, and there's a guy on there who's on about, I don't know, once every week, maybe once every 2 weeks, and his name is Felix Bennell, and he's their resident historian, okay? And this was in June of 2019. And he had this special on there about the origin of local high schools' mascots. And he covered the Quaker, he covered the kangaroo of Lake Washington and where all that stuff started. So I reached out to him and I said, hey, can you help me find out where the Turk comes from? Now this is a guy that has incredible networking through mass media. And he got back to me, he goes, I have no idea. There's nothing there. And so I kept digging into it. And you can dig into what a Turk is historically. It is a male Muslim warrior of the Ottoman Empire from the early 1900s and late 1800s, okay? There's no such thing as a lady Turk. And if you are not dyed-to-the-wool Muslim, you cannot be a Turk because you're a personal bodyguard of the Sultan. See a connection there? Okay. So, with Kayla's help and others, like the museum, Joy from the museum, we found in closets in the museum packets of research that have been done by a gentleman in 1971 as part of his thesis statement for Central Washington University. And he put together this history of basically Sultan and Sultan football. Kayla gave me digital copies of many yearbooks, which I've been using to go back. And why they're important and relevant to this is you can go back in those early yearbooks, and I'm talking 1916 to 1925, 1930s, those kinds of years. And at the beginning of every single yearbook, they would have the history of, okay? So they'd have the history of this senior class, the history of Sultan High School. And so they would go through that, like every time there would be a big momentous change, like if they moved to a new building or something along those lines. My goal in looking through all of that was, where in the heck is the Turk? There must be some kind of documentation for that. There is none. I asked Dan at one point, when we had Sky Valley Alternative School and Sarita was principal.
Yeah, it's SVO.
SVO. We've had so many different acronyms, I can't remember. Anyways, if they were going to be a real high school, they had to have a mascot. And so they adopted a mascot, they adopted colors for that school, and so forth. Okay, so I asked Dan that because I didn't know that the district actually had a policy of how to go through this. And so I just kind of started following that a little bit. So why do I think it's a good idea to think about changing the Turk? Okay. Probably the biggest thing is just relevancy. Okay. It isn't relevant. When you get into the history of where it started, this is what comes up. Okay. The yearbook, all right, was called Simcoe, which is native for news. Okay. So everything at the very beginning of the school district and school was native in its beginning, which would make sense. The name of this town is a mispronunciation of the chief, okay? We didn't say it right, so it came out as Sultan, just like Seattle, okay, and many other towns, cities. So it started out as Simcoe, and when the 1920s rolled around, there was a fascination and an association with everything Middle East, okay? You had things like Rudolph Valentino, which you probably don't know who that is, but many of the other people here will know who Rudolph Valentino is. Silent movie actor, okay? He was gorgeous, okay? All right. So anyways, there was this fascination with that, and the kids kind of rallied around that, and there was this fascination about everything Middle East, okay? It was the time that they were in. And so what they did is, in their school newspaper, which was called, it wasn't called the Sultan Pepper, it got changed to that, but in their school newspaper, they had a column, and then they would they would kind of write another column from their school newspaper, and they would submit it to the local newspaper, which, if you go back to 1905, Sultan had a newspaper called the Sultan Star. And then that changed in 1923, the Sultan Valley News, okay? And so the kids writing their newspaper had a column in the local newspaper called the Turk, okay? Because two of the boys on the newspaper thought it was cool. And that's how you got your mascot adopted, okay? The association with Rudolph Valentino. Two guys thought it was cool. And because of the imagery with it, a scimitar, fezzies, which are their little teeny hats with the twirly thingies on the top, and everything that looked like Middle East, they thought was really fascinating. And so they adopted that, and it just kind of hung on, okay? And I think we're beyond that, okay? There isn't a connection. Now, bringing this back to 1999, my last year of coaching, the first round, we had a special speaker come into the school, and this has happened numerous times. And if the girls were here, they could probably relate to this. This guy came in, and he was given a great message or something, and he said, "Hey, what are you guys? What's your mascot?" And so from the crowd, you heard about 5 people go, "Oh, it's the Turks." And he goes, "The what?" "Oh, we're the Turks." And he goes, "What is that? Is that like, are you guys the turkeys? You know, gobble, 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 are you the turkeys?" "No, What are you? We don't know. There isn't a connection, okay? And one of the things as a teacher and as somebody that came from Snohomish High School, the Panthers, and South Woodby High School, the Falcons, there is a connection between pride and your mascot and your school. And over my 3 decades of teaching here, the kids who struggle many times here with pride in their programs and pride in their schools and things like that, it boils down to that soul, that little piece of an intangible connection to things. Marianne, what's your mascot in high school?
Everett Eagles.
Well,
Seagulls.
Seagulls, yeah. All right. We can all remember probably our mascots and how that was on Letterman's jackets and things like that. It's no coincidence, other than probably pricing, that kids don't buy Letterman's jackets, okay? But I'm not, again, I don't want to paint a picture like this 100%. Okay, that's not my goal here. I just think it's something that we need to start thinking about. Because the people that are moving in up the valley, when they hear the word Turk, what does it mean to them? We just tried to get into another league now that we're AA. This is part of the progression that we have to think about. One of the reasons we did not get into that league is because of our mascot. And so we, all the athletic programs and the school, we now have an independent schedule, and so we're just trying to find people to play now because the leagues don't want us to be a part of it. And yeah, that has something to do with the mascot. That was one of the questions they asked, okay? That's about what I got until I write a book, okay? It'll be short, but is there anything I can answer for you guys?
I think it's definitely needed, both. I think our first step would probably be committees.
There's policy around starting a task force, and I think this would be a perfect thing for that. I probably get 2 calls a year from people inside Washington State and outside that want to know what a Turk is and why we have it as our mascot.
My kids hate it.
Yeah, but there's other things, it's weird stuff you got. You know, so being a head coach, I always have to try to find ways, you know, for emblems. This is why I went to that emblem on our helmets, the ST. Because you look up something where you're looking for a helmet sticker, find one with a Turk. Find one with anything that doesn't look like a genie and a scimitar, okay? And it really doesn't relate, okay? It can get quite interesting when you're playing East Side Catholic, however, because then you have the religious wars again, or kings, you know. But that aside from things, the cost of custom making emblems and Turkware and things like that, because it all has to be created from somebody that is artistic, and that costs money. They don't do it for free, and you can't look up stock Turks for jerseys and things like that, or hats. So that's another smaller area though.
Well, I think definitely we go by the policy and create a task force or committee to look into this. Do you guys have questions or anything at this point
I have a
for him?
You might remember a few years ago, there was a big push from OSPI to change the Native American mascots, and there were actually grants to do that. This came to life, there were questions around it at that time, and I think it would be a worthwhile endeavor if that's what people want to do. And you have a committee made up of some staff, some citizens, some students.
But there are many ways to still incorporate the Turk. If a committee and whoever makes the decision, if they choose an animal, okay, like I've thought of the Bears, because they're relevant in our area, okay? No other high schools are called the Bears in our area, really. You could call the bear, his name is the Turk, okay? So you could still connect it to the tradition and from the years prior. Loggers, when I was a kid growing up and traveling across or through Sultan to go skiing or wherever we're going, this was a logging community. That's what it was known for. That's where its blood came from. And so how this place never got something that was native or having to do with the economy that built the area, I'll never know. okay? Because it really, in everything I've looked at, it was brought in by a couple of teenage boys because they thought it sounded cool. And they liked Rudolph Valentino. But who wouldn't, you know, at that time? But we've had ideas of like the Thunder, because we call our gym the Thunderdome, okay? It can be inanimate like that, okay? Again, these are just things that we're just throwing around.
Yeah, well, I think we want to move forward with, right?
I know that the Chamber of Commerce was originally the Sultan Chamber of Commerce, and we had a hard time with the businesses all the way up to Index Skykomish area joining the Sultan Chamber of Commerce. And so it was rebranded and is now the Sky Valley
Yeah.
Chamber of Commerce and has a much broader
Yeah.
reach. So I understand the perspective.
And fundraising, Sky Valley incorporates Monroe as well. So in terms of fundraising, you could go much easier if it's Sky Valley. You can go west, you know, and also incorporate that pool much more than just taxing people that are, you know, east from here. Along those same lines, which, you know, we're going to need. By the way, Dan, in 1968, the cost per pupil, $925 in Sultan Union High School. Okay, put that in your notes. See if you can figure those dollars out. Actually, that'd be for Dan Ballard, wherever he went. There you are.
Thank you for your research.
Yeah, I'm just getting going on it.
Yeah,
Actually, it's
I
very
think we'll move
fascinating.
forward, yeah.
Definitely need students involved. I know we had
Community.
kids involved in developing the mascot for the newly created Kraken hockey team. I and my husband do not care for the mascot, but the kids absolutely
Yeah.
love the Kraken team
Yeah.
mascot. And
The
so,
only cautionary note I give you in that endeavor, so it's on the record, don't choose something that is going to be down the road, that's just something that you're not going to be able to wrap your head around. Because there are people who are like, oh, we could be the Sasquatch. Okay, really? You know, to me, you know, I don't know.
I like Timber Monster, then
The-
we have to change all the text everywhere. I'm just
January or February edition of the high school paper this year, two seniors put together an article with that same mindset of changing the mascot, coming up with a series of different ideas. Some of them Coach Rudd just shared right now, and there are some others that then sort of sparked some other thoughts and stuff, so.
No paint changes.
no, we-
Colors stay the same, Charlie.
dark blue, light blue, white.
Okay?
You could have a Sasquatch and we could dress
Go
him as
away.
a logger.
Just go away.
All right, thank you.
Yes.
We're gonna move on.
Yes.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks,
Yeah.
Coach.
So we have approval of Web Club at SMS.
Thank you. I've got our web officers here with us. Ladies, please stand. So, Web this is a formal request to formalize Web at the middle school as a club. It has been active, actually, I want to say, since 2018-19 was, I believe, the first year that Web was used at the middle school. Web is the middle school version of what Link Crew had been, that started back with when our principal was Bob Shacklett. He, during his leadership, wanted a freshman orientation program, and after some research, they connected with Project Boomerang, which is the parent company that promotes or supports Link Crew, and that at the middle school supports Web. So there wasn't a program at the middle school for a decade and a half, and then when the middle school leadership wanted to try to do a better job welcoming our sixth graders for ongoing success, they ended up adopting Web, which was right with Link. There's some professional development training that goes on. I can tell you that right now there's 3 staff members in our entire district that have been trained through Project Boomerang. Mr. Monson, who was recognized earlier, who's at Gold Bar, was the last to be trained, but then he moved to Gold Bar and has not been there. And then myself and Ms. Power at the high school were Link Crew trained. So do any of you, I think what the board would probably love to hear is, why do you enjoy being a part of Web, and why did you get involved? Andrea, do you want to lead off?
Sure. I enjoy being a part of Web because it gives a sort of satisfaction knowing that you're helping a group of people who are moving on to a different level that they may not be familiar with to get a little more comfortable with the environment and the people that are around them. It really personally makes me happy knowing that I'm helping them even just a little to adjust to the changes that are going on.
Thank you.
Alexa, do you have anything to add?
I joined Web to I'm a person who doesn't really speak that much with other people, and knowing that we get to tour 6th graders around so they don't get not so stressed out about their classes, and knowing that they can have some 8th graders to go and ask them for help, it's either for homework or just clubs or any kind of things, because we do sports and a lot of stuff in the middle school, and a 6th grader or 7th grader can go up to us and ask us for help.
Thank you.
Olivia, anything to add?
I like Web because it gives the 6th graders a chance to connect with older people at the middle school who've had experience.
Thank you.
Isabella?
I like Web because I enjoy helping them to get comfortable with starting a new start at a different school, just helping them out.
Thank you.
This year, Elizabeth Emmons has stepped in and been working with us through this, and actually, because of her role in the school with being a success coach, she has worked with the Web leaders whenever there's a brand new student, where we put a lot of energy into the 6th grade orientation. She has been able to keep it going through the year, where she'll connect with Web leaders for any new student, whether it's a 6th grader, 7th grader, incoming 8th grader, and having them sort of have that big welcoming experience and stuff. So we're rolling. We now have a constitution in place. We have officers in place. We just want to formalize that this would be a recognized club with the school district.
I didn't have any questions from the information you sent. Mike, any questions?
No
Cameron, any questions? Mary Ann?
No questions.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the Web Club at SMS?
I make a motion to approve Web at Sultan Middle School.
Okay, motion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion approved.
Thank you so much.
Thank
You
you.
guys are dismissed.
You guys can leave now.
Nice job. All right, thanks a lot.
Run out of here.
Want me to stay up here?
Yes, WIAA School Board Resolution 2122.
Okay, for both of these are, one is a school board resolution and the other is the annual renewal of our membership. And so it's just every year, it's an annual expectation by June that school board formally recognizes that Sultan High School would be a WIA member, and the board agrees to
And these are the
by signing
same
the
every year,
resolution.
yeah.
And there's nothing different this
Yeah.
year.
Mike, any questions?
No.
Mary Ann? Cameron? So can I get, so we have two of these.
There should be a form that you and Dan both need to sign, and then Kayla can send to me so I can
Okay.
upload it and have it finalized.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve? Are these both the same on here? They look both the
These
same.
are the old ones.
They both say 2120, oh, this one's
The
2021,
No, those
okay.
are the resolution numbers.
2121 and 2122? Okay,
Motion to approve WIA Board Resolution 21 and 22.
Are those the resolution numbers?
so
These
it's,
are the forms
it's
that they have last
2122
signatures.
and then 2121. Okay, so he did a motion to approve, resolution 2122. All in favor? Aye. And then I need a motion to approve 2121.
Motion to approve resolution, WIA Resolution 2121.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
For clarification, the forms in our packets have Russ Sumter's signature
Yeah.
at the bottom.
I know that I had sent
They're
that
just
to you
old ones,
since I
yeah.
didn't have the
Yeah.
new
Make sure
agenda,
the
and I
new
was
ones
hoping to take the content and put it into the
Yeah.
new one. Okay.
Thank you, Scott.
Yep, thank you. Want me to stay up here with Sam? Probably.
Yes, please.
Approval of Lynx's RFID timing system for cross-country.
All right. I went ahead, before I talk about the new timing system and why it's critical and important for us to have it for our cross-country program as an essential piece of equipment for our program to exist. I want to show you what we are currently operating with. Many of you are probably familiar with a stopwatch. This is something I use every day in track and cross country. Something like this will get you about 60 lap splits, meaning if I have 60 runners out there, I could get a time for them. This will give you a hand time, which is no longer used as an official time in track and field. You can no longer use hand timing if you want to compete. They are moving to a CAT time, which is a computer automated timing system. It's already required for official results in track and field, and those official results will be coming to cross country soonish. I don't know exactly when, but it's coming. This is our current timing system. It is a hand-operated timing system. The only difference between this and this is this one does 60, this one does 300. Okay, so if you want to run a race with more than 300 kids, you can't do it. Other issues with the hand timing system is it's very prone to user error. If you have 5 or 6 kids coming across the finish line at the same time, you have to make sure you hit this 5 times, right? If you miss one, your whole timing's off. If you hit the button an extra time, or you're wearing it around the neck, you don't have kids coming for a while, you're turning, you're talking to somebody, and you hit the button by accident, and you record an extra time in there, it's a big headache to have to go in and try to readjust that, try and get those times accurate. It's very embarrassing.
He's calling me out because I've been the guy.
It's very embarrassing as a coach or an athletic director to then have to email schools and ask them if they've recorded times for their kids because we missed it or we have an error. Those things are very embarrassing to do. And also, what it doesn't do is it'll get the time, but it will not tell you who is who. It doesn't tell you who crossed the finish line. So then, in order to do that, currently in our current system, we have to have a finish line shoot. Kids will wear race bibs. We will tear their tags, hopefully,
In order.
in order. They have to stay in line. And if any of you have been in a cross-country race, kids aren't always full of energy when they cross the finish line. A lot of them are coming across the finish line, collapsing, have heat exhaustion, dehydrating, their legs give out, they barely make it to the finish line. And if they're out of order, then your whole timing system's out of order, and it's
Listening skills are challenged at that point in time, and then you've got kids that will hit this finish line and want to stop, and others that will continue through. And we also, it's a staffing issue. We try to get as many volunteers as we can, but we're also limited with that, and so trying to keep them herded in the right spot.
So the system that we're asking for is called an RFID timing system. What that means is we will then be purchasing, every individual racer gets a chip. It's a disposable chip. The current system, if we go with, we're still pricing the individual chips. We can get them down to about 14 cents per person. So there's a little bit of a reoccurring cost. Every time you run a race, you have 14 cents per person. You put that into your overall cost. But this allows, when it passes through the timing system over our finish line, there are 2 antenna readers that as soon as the chip crosses, it gets their time exactly, computer automated. It records who they are, so you no longer have to stop and ask them to stand in line. So it clears up a whole safety issue. The system that we are going with, or wanting to go with, is Lynx. It is the current timing system we use for track and field and have operated already. Buying the whole system new would be $70,000 to $100,000 for a new timing system. The timing system, the RFID timing system, we're looking to add on to our current system. So we're not buying something completely new. We're looking for the additional piece, which is about $10,000 to add on this timing system. Now, asking for this would be like football asking for a goalpost, right? It's an essential piece of equipment for us to run our operations. And while I don't think it should be the responsibility of cross country to pay for essential equipment, we are willing to fundraise and make that purchase to get that in our system. What we are hoping to do to fund this is to run our Return of the Salmon fundraiser, invitational. So we would be inviting about 40 teams here, about 15 to 20 middle school teams, 15 to 20 high school teams, as recurring revenue every year for Sultan School District. We're hoping to find an account to fund the purchase with the intention of cross country's fundraisers to then reimburse the purchase, whatever account it's going to come from on whoever's end. I've tried to ask what account should we be asking for this to come from. Yeah, that's kind of the ask, to fund the purchase so that we can do the fundraisers to pay for the system that we need in order to run the fundraisers to get the money to buy the system. That's kind of a catch-22.
If the expectation will be that they're gonna do fundraisers until they have enough money to buy the system, it's not gonna happen. I mean, it would, in order to run, in order to take the community Return of the Salmon Run and build on it, and Sam's been talking with the city on ways to make sure that happens, and they're supportive of it becoming a high school race invitational, along with the community races that are already associated with that. And then like Lakewood does with the Hole in the Wall, they have a middle school component the day before, and we're able to do that as well. And this system would help middle school cross country, high school cross country, middle school and high school track and field, because we would be able to use that for our distance races, which again can be a stressful thing when you're talking about kids coming across. Our technology department's really good about having the timing system there with a couple of different cameras, but it's not perfect. This would increase the accuracy of the scores.
If we looked at just the Return of the Salmon Invitational that we are hoping to host starting this year, we would be able to pay off the system in about 2 to 3 years. However, getting the system opens up a lot more possibilities. We'd be looking at running bike races through the community. We'd be looking at running Tough Mudders. Any sort of racing that you can get out there, we'd be able to run with this system. As long as you put a chip on them and you have it go through the antenna system, you can run just about any race anywhere. And the city of Solon is always constantly looking for those different types of things. It gives us that ability to work with the community and give different opportunities for athletes and of all ages here an opportunity to compete. So lots of good things to come from it.
My questions would be, when would you want to start using this system?
The race would be September 27th and 28th.
And that's
So-
when you'd like to have something by then?
We definitely need at least a month prior so that we can test out the timing chips. Since it's new to us, we want to make sure that we have enough time to run some demos. We also are sourcing different chips for different costs. Through Lynx, they sell the disposable chips for about 83 cents per chip, which is too expensive. If we buy in bulk from other websites, I've seen it as low as 14 cents per chip. So we'd like to reach out to a couple different companies that may have an lower price. So we just need time to make sure those chips work with our system, get all the bugs worked out so that we can run a smooth event when it comes.
My other question, have you looked into any other fundraising that maybe isn't tied to races, or any other funding sources, say Ask Turk Fan Club for a donation, or like any of that kind of stuff that would make your costs lower?
We have a couple of fundraisers in addition to our Return of the Salmon Invitational that are in progress right now. We will be selling, we're doing a scarf fundraiser, so we're going to have custom Sultan Turk scarves, and that will be sold. We've been doing shirt fundraisers each year. You guys may remember my Run You Fools t-shirts that went out last year, which are pretty awesome. This year's theme is Harry Potter. That's what the team has chosen. So it's going to be, it's at a platform 9 3/4. It's mile 9 3/4. So we'll be doing some of those. It's also just difficult to, cross country is a small team. And so, the larger team you have, it's a little bit easier to go out and
Yeah,
raise
it's
more
just
money
tough.
with.
We just don't have much money.
Yeah.
So, Mike, questions?
You asked a few of them. As far as maintenance and maintaining long-term, are there things that we need to look at?
The only reoccurring cost is the chips. And there's two options. You can buy the reusable chips that you at the finish lines have to collect every time and have storage with. Those are about $5 per chip, which is a lot bigger of an expense. We'd be looking at least for the first 5 or 6 years until we've repaid the system to do the disposables. It's a lot cheaper in that short time. Once we've paid it off, and again, this recurring expense, it's not gonna end after the system is paid off. This is going to be recurring, I'm estimating probably $5,000 to $7,000 every year for the cross-country program, right? That this is gonna keep rolling in year after year, that then we will be able to upgrade the system. We would be able to buy podiums that we would use both at cross-country and track. We'd get finish line arches. We'd be working on building new trails. I've been talking to Charlie. We're trying to build a new trail behind the school, or restoring what the old trail was back there and that used to be. So in the future, when we have funds coming in, we could purchase like gravel to gravel in the trail, or things that could make that more useful and impactful for not just the school, but the community, everything beyond there. So
Related to the previous presentation, that said that we didn't get into the league because of our mascot. Yeah, I've been a part of that process. I'd say that was a concern and a question, but that is not. But our facility questions were, and this would be a way to enhance our cross-country and track programs to be more marketable down the road when we are seeking a league alliance again.
in our current district, for the Emerald Sound Conference, we are currently the only team in the district that does not have this system. So we are significantly behind when it comes to having that ability to run races. And when we're looking for a 2A district to join, it will be, especially since 2A will have bigger teams, bigger races, this will not be able to work. So it's going to be a needed
Mike,
purchase
any other questions?
sooner rather than later.
Cameron?
Question, so you say track and field from the high school and middle school is going to use this? Are they also gonna help pay for this as well, or try to give some type of weight to it, especially if they're gonna use it too? Cause I would hate for it just to be high school cross country, then like having to give more than everyone else, especially if others are using your system as well.
I agree, it'd be great to have it to come from other places. Right now, the only places that's planning on coming from is high school cross country, and also Tech will be able to finance $1,000 of the purchase for the conversions. So Tech has a little bit of funding that they can provide for it.
As it grows, I think that initially, if it is just a league meet for the middle school, typically we don't charge the other schools to come. But if it becomes more of a middle school invitational, now you are charging other schools to come and be a part of it. And then that is another way that the middle school might be able to help contribute. But I would say that this first year, the mindset would be that it would just be a middle school league race, which would not bring in revenue.
Marianne?
I do have questions. What is the cross-country season?
What's the season?
What's the season?
It'll start 1 week. This year, it usually starts
August
2 weeks.
27 this year?
Yeah, it usually starts 2 weeks prior to the school year. This year, it'll start 1 week prior to the school year. And then, so it starts August 26th this year, and runs through the end of October. The state meet is usually the last weekend / first weekend of end of October, beginning of November is the end of this cross-country
State
season.
should be first Saturday in November this year.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not sure if you have fully caught on that we're towards the end of our budget cycle for 23-24,
Mhm.
and so squeezing every last bit of blood out of our rocks is getting really hard. What is the possibility of funding next school year cycle?
We already have some commitments to the return of the salmon. That community race has previously been run by the Sultan Running Club, which is no longer looking like they'll be able to perform that. So we have some responsibilities, some commitments to the city of Sultan as well to help keep this community race open for the community, as well as having our invitational on top of that.
But having the thing, knowing that you're gonna be able to get what you need before you make those commitments, would probably be a good
So like,
thing
you're
in the
talking like
future.
August or September?
No, I'm just saying it'd be good to know that we will be able to fund it before we make commitments to the city, that we're gonna have this thing that we need. Dan
What are
chime
the
in on
purchase terms
costs.
from the company? Do you make payments? Do you just pay it off?
I think there's a couple of options. But really what we got just now is the quote, which I should have sent. You guys should have
We got
access
it,
to it. I printed off a copy here.
I think what I'd really like to do, Gigi, is table this so we have more time to explore funding in terms and bring it back, because I'd really like to, some dialogue with the Turk Pride, no, not Turk Pride, what's the group?
Turk Fan Club.
Turk Fan Club. And I'd like to see a firm commitment from Cross Country. So if you guys had a firm $2,000 fundraising commitment, and you guys, Gigi had a firm commitment of like 2,000 with 8,000 to the school. I wanna explore some of those options. I don't
We
wanna
don't
flat
have
out
that
tell
much
you
money,
no, but without talking to Dan and seeing where we're at in the budget, I'm just not comfortable saying, oh yeah, here, take another $10,000.
What's the shipping time if you ordered it July 1st?
Dave was the one, because Dave Moon is, this whole tech system is his avenue. So he's the one with the connection with the Lynx timing system and the people at Lynx. It says here, lead time is 20 days from purchase to receiving.
Maybe pin that down and then see what the terms of, there's a few times where, like math curriculum, we made a decision because it's needed to buy math curriculum at the elementary school level. And unfortunately, those are the things when we get into budget crunches that end up going. But we worked with the company to allow us to pay in one fiscal year and the second half of the next fiscal year. Just because if you've noticed, there's big squeezes in districts right now. Fortunately, we didn't have a bunch of the ESSER money locked up in staff, so ours isn't as big of a challenge, but nevertheless, it's a challenge. We passed a resolution at our last meeting to go below our fund balance minimum. So every 10,000 is a big deal. But I hear commitments from all of the board members all the time of wanting to do things that support students. That's what we're here for. At the same time, they're, understanding some more of the, if you ordered it at this date, this is when you can have it, and we can get some more details. Because I think, again, I'm not the board, but there are some things that, that need to be understood.
And I think the more, if we can get those details, and those can just be emailed, and then we can look over that and then bring it up at our next.
There are some vendors that have worked with us in the past when we're talking about using ASB dollars that might not be there until September 1st just because the ASB fiscal year starts on September 1st, even though our fall sports start practicing in August. Some vendors have agreed to bill us on September 1st and get us the equipment prior to that.
And
so
Sam, I would be
maybe this
willing to
could be
call the company too. There's times when I've come in and said, look, we want to support this, but you've got to work with us. And these are the things that you can do to help us. Can you do that? And I'm happy to do that.
So if we can find that out and then kind of coordinate that, let us know, and then we can even bring it up at our study session, so our very next meeting.
Yeah, like I said, we're more than happy to do the funding and pay it off. Because we'll have the revenue coming. It's just that initial purchase is what we're looking for help with.
Yeah.
So Gigi, can I table it from this meeting, bring it back to the next meeting so we can explore funding options more for.
You can.
Thank you.
You just did.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, so we'll see you at the next meeting and we'll work with you.
So is that the
and
June
you guys-
business meeting or the study session?
Let's do the study session so we can do it quick, but no other business at the study session, but just that.
Is that the 10th?
Yes.
It's
June
the
10th?
second Monday of the month.
So then that way we can have a decision for you,
Is
so.
that the same day?
What is that date?
High school sports awards night.
Oh.
Sam's head
okay.
coach.
Well, we have the information.
Yeah.
Anybody can stand
We
up
could
there.
make sure that those questions that you're asking right now, we
Yes.
might be able to give some that way. And
And if Dan has the info, we don't need you guys. I mean,
oh, you need us.
well, a little
So-
bit.
So the big questions that you're looking for are just,
Kayla will email you
Okay.
email you and let you know exactly what we want.
and then we can
And that
reach
would be
out
easier.
and see
Yeah.
what they're willing to do.
I'd also ask the city
Thank you,
if
Kate.
we're running a race for the city, are they willing to make
Yeah.
a donation?
If they have park money.
Yeah, they are donating already, so they're gonna be donating the prizes for the winners.
Okay.
So they're covering about the top 10 runners from each race, and there's going to be 6 race divisions. Are getting return of the same in t-shirts as prizes, so they're donating about 60 shirts for that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Out of 500.
Thank you.
Sweet.
Thank you.
Nice job, Sam.
We are on number 5 in business, and we have 20 in business, so. Okay, we already did girls' basketball camp, approval of SMS bus lane change.
Good evening, directors.
Hello, Charlie.
Sultan Middle School has had a lot of near misses with buses and cars, buses and students, cars and students, because of the configuration and the location of the school. In trying to problem solve that, I met with the school administrative team, and we believe that moving the buses to pick up and drop off on 4th Street versus in front of the school on High, and leaving that section for the parents to separate the buses from the cars to be more safe. I met with the city next to find out anything that they would have any question about. The parking spaces along the football field and the school are actually school property. From the edge of those parking spaces.
Indented areas, right?
Hmm?
Yeah.
The indented areas
Or
are
however
ours.
you refer to them as.
So there's no permitting that's needed. Just the only cost would be the paint, and we would repurpose the signs, but I found out that last week some kids folded the signs in half, so we would have to get some new signs. But they would be attached to the fence and on the side of the school to note that where that lane is that there's no parking during school hours.
So you agree that it's safer and it's what you want to do? Do we
And the
have
current
questions?
parking that the staff is doing on that side, with the transportation operations moving to the new building, there are over 30 open spaces in the parking lot.
That was my other question.
Yeah.
Making sure that admin had enough room to park.
I don't have any other questions. Do you guys, Cameron, Mike, Marianne? Okay, can I get a motion to approve the SMS bus lane change?
Motion to approve new bus lane for middle school.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Charlie.
All right, approval of Snohomish Discovery Program interlocal. And then Snohomish County Detention Center one too. Is that you, Paul? Dr.
Yeah.
Douglas?
I can do one of them. I'm not claiming the detention one. So this Discovery one, this is the one we approve this one yearly. We're asking for the same 2 slots like we did last year and the year before. There is a $49 increase per day for Discovery for next year. That's just kind of the cost of doing business and meeting the IPD for their staff.
Per student?
Yeah, per student.
And this is the same one every year.
Yep.
So, Mike, do you have any questions? Cameron? Marianne? Can I get a motion to approve Snohomish Discovery Program interlocal?
I make the motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right,
Thanks, Director.
thank you. Approval of Snohomish County Detention Center Education Program.
So I'll handle this one. This is the yearly one that we do. Approve of the apportionment going to that particular program for kids that are in Denny Youth Center. And it used to be that Everett covered all of that, but in the last several years, we've all covered our share. Typically don't have too many kids that fit into that category, but at times there are kids being educated through there, and so this would mean that the apportionment that would be generated at the time would go to this particular place.
And this is the same as last year also?
Yes.
The year before. Questions, anyone? Can I get a motion to approve Snohomish County Detention Center Education Program interlocal?
Motion to approve.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Good on that. Approval of resolution 2404. Dan.
All right, directors, yes. This is a resolution. When we established the budget about a year ago, we typically put in there, since the technology levy, well, let's go back to the origination of the technology levy. When the technology levy started, there were various different positions that were identified in that would be funded through that technology levy. So we have a technology integration specialist, I believe is the correct title. We have a data specialist slash admin support person, and we have a tech assistant that are part of that funded position. So we have been doing annually a transfer from capital projects fund, and back up. The salaries and benefits to those individuals are paid by general fund, okay, every month. Because there is not a mechanism within capital projects fund to pay payroll within capital projects fund. So what general fund does is we pay these people at the end of the year. Then in the subsequent year, we go back and determine the total amount of salaries and benefits that were paid to those identified individuals, do a transfer from capital projects fund to general fund to essentially repay them for those payroll costs that they paid on their behalf, okay? When we put together the budget, and we typically do 1 year's worth, we've always been 1 year in arrears, because you finish the year and then the next year you pay what was done the prior year because you have an exact total. So we have done it. That has been practiced since 2019. We have been doing that on a yearly basis. When we put together the budget for this year for 23-24, the transfer authority was put in there to again do that for 1 year's worth. Well, when we had in September, when we identified that our enrollment shortfall was significant, we looked at, and I had approached the board in October, it was with various ways that we could do some accounting adjustments to help backfill that shortfall. And one of those was, instead of doing 1 year's worth of transfer of salaries and benefits, to do 2 years worth of transfer of salary and benefits. So you're talking about doing 22-23 and 23-24 all in this year. What was built into the budget was only 1 year's worth. Now you're doing a second year, or proposing to do a second year. Therefore, the resolution is necessary to increase transfer authority above what is in the budget to facilitate moving 2 years worth of salary and benefits versus the originally anticipated 1 year of salary and benefits.
Because you always did it a year after it happened.
That's correct.
This makes it happen real time.
Can you
as it's
specifically address the comment from earlier that we are taking money from somewhere that we shouldn't be taking it from and spending
To
it
give
on
people
something
raises
we
or
shouldn't be
something
spending
like
it
that.
on?
Again, this was the technology levy. It was a technology exclusive capital projects levy from 2019 through 2022. As part of that, it was identified that there would be additional support for technology to bring these things, to bring them online. So this has been a past practice that has been going on since 2019. What changes this year is, again, we are doing 2 years worth as opposed to 1 year. So that's the reason for the change in the resolution, is that the budget was not developed with the thought of doing 2 years. It was developed with the thought of doing 1 year.
And it was always after the actual work happened. So it's catching it up to, we're doing it as it's happening. That's why the second year, rather than do it before. And so this is staff that are paid for, that Dan said, in that it doesn't have anything to do with collective bargaining or giving
This is
raises
tech
or
department
anything.
only.
Correct.
That's it.
I think
Yeah.
the concern was we ran a levy, and then why are we taking money from somewhere else to pay for what the levy should have paid for? That would be my understanding of the question.
There's
but-
no way to pay people out of capital projects, is the reason. You have to, these people are paid as part of that levy ask, but you have to transfer the money to the general fund to pay them. Because there's no mechanism in the capital projects fund to pay anybody for anything.
Yeah.
And so it's, the amount that was in the levy for these 3 positions gets transferred from capital projects fund to general fund. It's been happening since 2019.
And I think we understand. I just want to make sure that
It's
everyone
essentially a
understands.
repayment, is
Yeah.
what it is. Capital, general fund is making the monthly salary and benefit payments to these individuals. At the end of the year, we total the grand total of salaries and benefits for these 3 individuals. That gives an amount of the transfer to essentially repay that
And so
forward
without the capital levy, or the tech levy, those folks, you wouldn't have these positions unless the district found out with another way to do it.
We just want to make sure we're transparent so everybody knows.
Well, if we
everything,
were
so-
doing something nefarious there, the auditors would
We
nail
just
us
had an audit.
quickly.
Yeah.
And they were just here, a bunch
Just
of them.
here.
Just
so-
about done, yes.
Okay, do you guys have any questions?
I did have one more question. what is June next year gonna look like?
As far as the amount of.
Since we're doing 2 this time to play catch up, what would next year then look like?
It would just be one, again.
You'd caught up,
Yeah, the
And it would just be current,
yes,
pay current.
just current, because you don't have the one that's in arrears.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, we've always done one that's in arrears because it allows you to get an exact amount. In this one, we're gonna be doing it in June, the year hasn't quite yet finished, so we're gonna have to make an estimate on the amount in July and August that will to be paid. We'll have totals through May. So June, July, and August will not yet have happened.
Estimates.
But we'll have to do a best guess estimate based on remaining contract amounts so that we can come with an estimated total as it would be at the end of August.
So then, would it be reasonable to expect to come back with a resolution and say, general fund owes capital projects fund $200 if you're off?
The request there is more than enough authority to make the transfer.
That's not my question. My question is the exact penny, just so there's no questions about it.
Yes, I can bring a copy of the transfer resolution through, or excuse me, of the transfer authorization through Snohomish
I
County.
think the only way to tie it up and make sure that there's transparency and trust is say, in June of '24, we made this transfer for this much. When we closed the books at the end of the fiscal year, it was 200 short or 200 too much.
Oh,
Bring
I
it
see,
back.
okay, I see what you're
Bring
saying.
it back and say, okay,
Yeah,
remember what we did?
I see what
And that
you're
way, that's the only way to be
And nobody may
completely-
ever want to see it, but it's
No,
there just in case.
I thank you, I originally misunderstood your question, yes. Because past practice has always been doing it for the prior year, you know an exact amount. This year, you will be doing it for a prior year, 22-23, as well as the current year, 23-24. 23-24 is not yet concluded. We'll do this transfer in June, therefore we will need to make an estimate for June, July, and August, but yes, we can bring a true-up at the end of August to determine if the amount of the estimate differed from the actual
I don't think
final
there's any
total.
other way to do
Yeah.
it than that way.
All right, can I get a motion to approve of resolution 2404 to increase transfer authority from the capital projects fund to the general fund?
I wanna make a motion to approve what she said.
A resolution 2404 to increase you got that, Kayla?
Transfer authority.
Okay.
And thank you for clarifying.
Of course.
I appreciate that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Summer feeding program, is that you also?
That's me also. So at the last meeting, I had made a comment, and I have to apologize, my recollection was from the year prior, not last year, it was from the summer of
375 is
Summer-
much better.
Summer of 2022. In the summer of 2022, we had a much larger program. We had a breakfast and lunch program at the high school. We were running separate sites. We were shuttling meals out to Gold Bar. We had a much larger program, and therefore the loss was much larger. For summer of 2023, it was a very nominal amount. The numbers were very nominal. The loss was very nominal, but the total amount of claims, the numbers were just relatively small.
So instead of the 10,000 that we thought, we lost 375. So
Correct.
we are good feeding kids this summer.
There was only 17 service days. We had a very small, last year we had a very small ESY contingent last year of only 5, I think, students, Paul, is that correct, last year?
Yeah.
Where this year we're looking at 18 to 20?
18.
18. So
So we're good with feeding
three
kids?
times as many. So yes, again, we need to make it, if we are going to do this, we need to make a decision to have our application in no later than June the 1st. That's the reason.
I think we want to feed kids.
Motion to approve summer feeding.
Aye.
All in,
Okay.
yeah, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
yes.
Aye.
Feed the kids.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Superintendent evaluation. We can try to be quick on this. Normally in the past, it's kind of been something that a couple board members get together and make up an evaluation. WASDA does have examples on their site that districts can use if they choose to. There are 2 different ones currently. Marianne and I met with Crystal, HR Crystal, and she kind of helped us a little bit come up with, we picked one of those 2 to use from now on instead of, and I'm not sure what it was, Mike, when you were here, but the last couple years that I did it, it was kind of basically open-ended questions on a form, you know.
Typically, in this particular model, I was part of the pilot group that helped develop this. 2017, 2018, I was on probably a group of 10 superintendents. I sent the information to Mary Ann and Gigi. The challenge is comprehensive, and there's a lot of board work that's involved in trying to understand what exactly is happening. And so, for whatever reason, doing evaluations are challenging, not just in this district, but in many. You're the only one here, besides Gigi, last year that was part of the evaluation. So we tied it to goals for a while. We looked at checklists. Typically, it's up to the board to do what the board sees fit.
We went through and we added different things that were recommended from us, but mainly we tying it back to the mission, vision, goals.
So we met, and the three of us decided that we really liked one of the options that WASDA has available, and you guys got it in your packet. It's really, really long. School districts don't ever do every single one every year. So we wanted to pick out 3 of those that we would do, and we would have it for next year. So goals have to be given, we have to come up with the goals given, and then that's how that's gonna work. The 3 categories we picked were visionary leadership, which is basically advancing a district-wide shared vision for learning.
Let's clarify, strand 1.
Yeah, but
The
I mean, that's
visionary
just,
leadership, questions A, B, C, D, and E.
we're the whole thing. We're doing all of the standard 1, strand 1. Standard 2, strand 1 is putting student learning at the center. That's the second one we'd like to do. And the third one is standard 6, strand 2, works effectively with the district's board of directors.
And that was A, B, C, D, E, F also.
All of them, yes. Those are the 3 that we recommend doing for the next review.
That would be next school year. We felt like it's hard to evaluate somebody when you don't give them the homework assignment, and then you need to give them a grade. And so we wanted to be very clear on what the homework assignment was for the school year that the grade would be given on.
So we would get together, decide kind of what our, the parameters are and what the goals are for each of these standards. Meet with Dan, give those to him, and then that's what the review next year will be on. Mike, do you
remember talking about this at all, Mike?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, because I was part of it. I think out of the 10 superintendents, I think probably 4 or 5 of the districts adopted it, but it takes quite a bit of work for the board as well.
Well, and I think previous boards maybe didn't want to put that work into this, but
There
I
was
think
samples that had to be
we
turned
want
in
to put the
get
work
results.
into it to make sure that this is done correctly and that's standardized, and it's the same one for every single year. We just pick 3 more different topics.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with the topics. When we went through it, we also tied goals to where it wasn't just a blanket compensation.
Yeah.
So we can talk about more about that.
Yeah.
The one thing, going back to Whitney, I wanna make sure I know we're doing 3, but if we're getting a lot of, and again, I don't have all the information, but if we are getting a lot of feedback as far as, effective management within the communities, that's something that we need to consider.
I think that kind of, to me, I think when we discussed, kind of goes into the standard 1, the visionary leadership.
But there's one that calls that specifically.
Yeah, and we can add an extra one if we wanna do that. We can do 4, it's just, we wanna make sure that we
can discuss it.
So, yeah, we wanted to do either a workshop before study session, or even a retreat to kind of go over this as a group. We just wanted to get it narrowed down with Crystal, because she was very helpful, with getting it narrowed down. So picking one that's like a standard one that the state says, this is a good review to do. We wanna do that, and we wanna do, break it down every year, do a few of them, and just make it the same every year instead of kind of going back and forth. But we do need to come up with those, so.
And I did write down, what Whitney had presented, what she had brought up in public input, and she was asking, we had number 6, but we had strand 2 included, and I think if I understood her correctly, she was asking for standard 6, strand 1, understanding and influencing the district's environment. That one had an A, B, and C. Gains understanding of the community by interacting with local community members, engages with local, state, federal officials, and C, engages with professional associations, business organizations.
So we don't normally chat, but I'm gonna ask you, does that kind of answer your questions?
No, so my hope is that everyone on the board is aware of the Washington State School Directors Association, the forms that are on their website, reads through them, acknowledges them, and knows what's in them, because there's multiple different sections within those. And there's different packets to look at too that go into those evaluations, right? So it's not just a standard 6. There's another, my printer wasn't working today, and I was gonna bring it with me, but there's different standards within those, like how you say, strand 1, there's different strands within the
Correct.
standards that I think should be looked at overall. And I get that you're wanting to pick a couple to be great at, but like, honest opinion, these are simple.
I will tell you, because we spent a lot of time looking through all the different strands and everything, so I agree. We did look into all of that. I will say that no other district that we checked with, because Crystal helped us with this, does the entire thing at once. Everyone breaks it apart. I think though that it's worth, we go over the whole thing together with superintendent, and to make sure that we know that those are focus areas, but we break it apart and get the most important ones done, and then the next time more.
And back to Mike's point, family and community partnerships have been said, not just by me, I've sat at these board meetings for months now, over and over and over again, it's been brought up, so why wouldn't that be a key point in here? And take my opinion out of it, I'm sure you have lots of parents that love and support, but when you have multiple parents with multiple concerns voicing them over the last year, I think family and community partnerships should definitely be a part of the evaluation.
And we're gonna meet and discuss that as a group, so we can make sure that we get, everybody's happy. Our main goal was to go through the different options that WASDA has. We don't necessarily have to use one of the ones that WASDA has, we can use whatever we want, right? But we like that there is one that has everything kind of there for us and makes it easier. And it's also easier to, if we need help from another district, to kind of know if we're using the same kind of thing. But yeah, we're gonna get together and do that and come up with the goals, and then we'll meet with Dan, present him the goals for what will be on the review the next year, so.
You are correct, it is a lot of reading.
Those 3 standards that we had chosen when we met, there were 16 questions just in those 3 standards alone.
So it's similar for the board superintendent evaluation as it is me and the principals, where you have a focused or a comprehensive. And most of the time, people are on focus, though we do comprehensive. It is a tremendous amount of work to do it, to cover all this. And while they might read simple, they aren't necessarily simple. There's a lot to them.
So that'll,
Some of us do evaluations for teachers all the time, so.
Okay.
we do I have probably done thousands of evaluations, so so there's a lot of different ways to do it. I think we just want to get it to a way that's standardized, so every year is the same. Because I think doing it differently every year doesn't make it
I agree on the same process, but there's gonna be.
Yes, the same
We'll have
process.
to look at different standards
Yes.
based on, if we see opportunities.
But we have to
community or
identify
teachers, But
Yes.
we need to identify upfront.
what they're gonna be, so they have.
Here are your goals. So this year is gonna be different. We'll have to discuss because we need to get that done ASAP. I've got the one we used last year, so we can see if we wanna do that or something different, so. Okay, where are we at now? District budget update.
I need to use the
Here comes Dan. Kayla, is this your fault that the agenda is so long?
All right, so yeah, directors,
Always
just
my fault.
let you know that things are progressing along. We have gotten through about 6 drafts of the salary and benefit plan. We have been through about 3 to 4 of the material supplies and operating costs, and we're up to draft 14 on what's called the resource to program expenditure matrix. We've been looking at lots of various different scenarios to meet that $1 million threshold, and it is a work in progress. We don't have anything final yet, but we are working towards that. I know Mike and Gigi came over and we had a meeting with them the other day and shared some ideas with them. So I really don't have anything more than that at this moment to share. I don't know, Dan, if you...
Well, I think we've made progress, and there will be, you know, another set of reductions that'll take place, and that's gonna kind of, you know, not ready to go public with it yet, but that'll happen soon. If you looked at the $709,000 ending fund balance, that is up, just as a matter of continuing to progress through the year. But having done this, looking at iterations of this, is that ebbs and flows back and forth. And so you know, the goal is just to make sure that the Sultan School District has a budget that the board feels good about, the community can have confidence in. And if you're looking out there much, there's a lot of issues going on, a lot, with school districts right now. And I don't pretend to know all of them, but
Mike and I have gone back a little bit on that as you see one, it's like, there's so many that layoffs.
so you're gonna be hearing a lot about crisis soon with districts, not Sultan, but soon. So
I was reading an article that said, you know, just in general, which we've talked about, I know I've used the term, it's a system problem, not a Sultan problem, and I feel strongly about that. Like I said, currently there are 6 districts in the state that are on binding conditions, and based on the OSPI financial indicator analysis, they say there's a possibility of 14 more could go on that next year. If that was the case, that would be approximately 7.5% of the total district statewide would be on binding conditions. So this is a system-wide problem. And as you said, there's various districts are having to deal with this in various different ways.
Do you have any questions?
No, because we're not
Cameron?
Moses Lake.
Yeah.
Oh, you just saw that?
Yeah, we're not Moses Lake, yeah.
Oh, that was scary.
Yeah, they'll definitely be the next one on
I
that
think,
list.
you know, I guess I would add this to it when we're talking on a broader level. Something has to happen systemically to not allow this to happen. You know, when they do a McCleary fix, they have to really fix the system. A lot of money was given, didn't solve all the problems, went to different places. And we couldn't avoid some of that stuff. There's got to be better parameters in place because honestly, you know, if you look at wages across the board, that's the problem. I don't know how else to say it. That's the problem.
All right, so you also have capital project update?
Yeah, went through went through and did a true up. There's been a lot of activity in Capital Projects Fund, predominantly because of, you know, just recently finishing construction of the Transportation Co-op facility. That was a huge undertaking. Was obviously identified as approximately 50% of the current capital projects levy that we're on right now. The proceeds from that would go towards building that facility, and we've now completed that facility. So we wanted to, in my mind, I kind of looked at this as that was phase 1 of this capital projects levy, was getting that building built. Phase 1 is now done, okay? Phase 2 is then where we're going to start looking at some of those other projects that were named in that measure. So currently this summer we have 3 projects of substance that are going to be occurring. There's a hot water tank at the high school that is going to go in, and it's big. It's a big hot water tank. It's about $62,500 is for that repair. We are going to fix the heating issue that failed here at SES. That's going to be about $122,000. And we're going to replace the gutters and downspouts at the high school, which is just a little over $106,000. So those are the three projects of substantial size that are going to occur this summer. We do have some additional activity, obviously, that's going to happen within the next few months. We just talked about the transfer here just a few moments ago as far as transferring the repayment for salaries and benefits for those staff from capital projects. That's going to be approximately $500,000. We have debt payments, significant debt payments. I'll be making the transfers tomorrow. Going out on June 1st, we'll have a total of $353,075 in indebtedness payments that will go out. Those happen twice a year, June and December. And then we have some software licensing, annual software licensing that's coming up for about $100,000. So grand total with those projects and those others, we're going to have outflows of about $1.2 million, basically. So you're at your high water mark in April, so the numbers that I shared with you earlier are really your high water mark, and now that balance is going to start dropping rather dramatically over the next couple of months to address not only the projects, but specifically we have a large indebtedness payment that goes out here at the 1st of June. So we went through and looked at those. I think the lowest point that we will reach will be in September, just before we get to the fall collection. You'll be at, as far as your disposable resources, not including impact fees, you're at about $214,000 approximately. And then you'll have your fall collection, and that balance will jump up quite dramatically once you get your fall collection. But basically, with the projects, the 3 projects that are in the pipeline and the other commitments, the transfers and the indebtedness, essentially that's, kind of phase 2. We're getting into the phase 2. We're starting to work on some of those projects. We're now seeing the full impact of those indebtedness. And then we'll move in through the next round of projects, which will be summer of 2025 after that. So that's
And I
where we're
think
at.
part of the reason to go over this, there's a lot of questions that come up about when you're gonna do the roofs. Gold Bar and this particular school here, and because so much of the cash was put towards the transportation cooperative, we had to borrow impact fees to even cover it. We're in the payback phase, and so there just isn't gonna be cash flow to do it until next summer, unfortunately.
What I'd like to see is just a list of, so what everybody signed up for in the levy, what we promised them in the levy as a district. I wanna know when.
Okay.
As a board
What's
member, I
been
wanna-
done and
So
what
there,
needs to be
there's,
done.
on our website, there's a really
Yeah.
comprehensive one of that, but we need to tie dates to it.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
I just don't
Because
want- I just don't want
we
the
even have the
projects.
receipts there
Yeah.
for what we're paying.
I just want dates. So
But-
if it's 2025, at least we can make the commitment saying it's gonna be 2025.
Before we did this, as part of this, I went and spoke with Charlie, and I went through this. I said, okay, what all do you have in the pipeline for this summer? And we clarified those, made sure I had current numbers as far as those. Ran the scenario. I said, based on the other things we got going on, that's really about what you're gonna be able to do this summer. We're gonna have to look to summer of 2025. Let's prioritize in summer of 25 what you wanted to get done, which again is the roofs. There's one other item that escapes me right now, but anyway, I know that Renee and Maintenance Operations has done a good job in keeping that. Kayla's got it up here. So, if we need to add more information to that, I'm sure they could get that done for us.
Yeah, I think, like you
So
said,
click
dates.
on the, there, and then, that one's, don't have the final receipts in, but it shows it. Click on one that's got all the receipts.
You might wanna also
Yeah,
put,
right
like,
there.
click on this, so people will know to click on it. I mean, even though there's a drop-down thing, I think that would probably be helpful.
And so then I guess, Mike, we would need the dates with some of those other
Yeah.
things.
The biggest thing is I wanna make sure that the community understands
Yeah.
what dates.
And then if it
So
says
that we're committing,
upcoming,
saying that
when.
we're gonna do these things.
And then we could certainly guide people towards that. But what's interesting is, there's more value in misinformation than there is in having good information.
I understand, I mean.
And that's part of reality.
Yeah, even if we release, this is what we're doing this summer, and this is what's coming next summer, or, coming soon, in 24, 25.
Right.
These are gonna be the capital projects that we're going to get done next year.
Right.
That way, because people are asking, and, it's real critical right now, especially if we're gonna wanna come back with a bond, that we have a plan that we can take back to the community and say, this is how we are going to spend, because one of the things that if you look at survey, we're wasting money, wasting taxpayers' money. That was something that came up a couple times in our survey for the bond. So how can we get that out there to them and say, this is exactly where all of your dollars are being spent?
Right.
And even if we send out cooperative, we built a new bus barn up there, how much did we spend? And, I know it's here, I know it's up here.
Yep.
But we talk about marketing, we have to start marketing the good things, not only from students, but how dollars are being,
Right.
spent.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And like I said, The gym heat over here was an unanticipated, unknown event. When the levy was put out, it was a failure. It's something
The
that,
water heater was as well.
yeah, the water heater. So 2 of those 3 items were unknowns at that
We also
time.
need
They're
to
they're
figure-
failures that have occurred since that issue was put out.
We need to figure out a better way to advertise this, because one of the things I noticed reading through the bond comments were, you guys should hold public meetings, or you should put the amounts on the website, and we did all of that. We did everything that people had said we should do, but they didn't know, so we need to figure out a better way to communicate. We don't have to discuss that right now, but we need to
I just wanna make
advertise
sure
better.
that, you know, the comments that I get are, you're not telling me what you're spending money on. We approve this, but you're fixing this. So-
That was a huge part during the bond, and when you would guide people towards that, it kind of would tone down, because I think there's these talking points that just go into nowhere, but, you know, I think continuing to repeat it, putting it in newsletters, saying it when you're in front of people, there's a million different ways to do it.
The challenge is, like I said, there are, moving forward, as we already said, moving forward on projects that were known and proposed in that measure, and then you've also had you've had failures, you know, concurrently going on, so you're kind of going that back and forth and working on those named projects, but also dealing with those unknown failures that have to be addressed, especially with, you know, no heat with coming into fall and winter.
Do we have any other comments or questions from this topic? Okay.
When can I expect the dates? That would be my only, when can we get the dates there?
We'll start to put them in there right away.
Yeah,
And
reach
and
out
I think,
tomorrow to them.
I think what that's kind of built on
Study
is
session.
cash flow confidence.
We're losing people right and left, man.
Have a good evening.
Before you leave, I want to give an update. Isaac went to the walk-in clinic. They sent him to the ER for immediate IV drip antibiotics. So
See? We
I
told
said, told you.
Well,
So,
he had that, and he showed he had that cut on his
Yeah.
thumb that wouldn't heal.
yeah.
He said he just had a slice this weekend.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, and
It
then
just wouldn't
all
heal.
of a sudden, it's going up his arm.
Well, and that's why, I mean, because Polly made me go and I had my finger cut from the coral and it was infected too. So anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. And also that I forgot that you were going to talk about Dave before we went into everything else. So we still need to do that.
Yeah,
also.
so, District 3, Dave Shepard has resigned his position. And some of that, you know, was expected, is that he was really staying on so that we didn't have 3 transitioning at one time.
They tried to drop out during the election.
Tried to drop out during the election but could not, and so I've been actively seeking people in District 3 and had people look at it and stuff, and I think there's some interested parties, so that'll, you know.
So we'll open it up as of tomorrow?
Yeah, can we post it tomorrow, Kayla, or the next day?
Yeah, you just tell me.
Yeah, so I think what the board's gotta do then is maybe accept his resignation, or we would announce it at the next one, since we know, however you wanna do it.
So we just do it now. Can I make a motion to accept?
Did we add it to the agenda, though? I can't remember if we did or didn't.
We only added talk about Dave.
Okay.
So we should do it at the next one, so we actually have it on the
But we'll
agenda,
post it
but-
anyway.
Yeah, let's get it posted, like,
Yeah.
tomorrow would be great if you can, Kayla, if not, Thursday, I keep thinking it's Monday. That would be great, and then, if anyone knows anybody that wants to apply.
If
Let me know.
Kayla, could you please email us the link to the job posting so that each of us individually, if we know anyone in that area, that we could send the link to people? And to clarify, that's the south of the city, correct?
Yeah, it's really an interesting one, and this is part of why I was not having success. I understand the district better. It's on the south side of the river, but it wraps around and goes out Old Owen. And so,
Old Owen up above the Red Apple?
yeah,
The boundaries are on the website,
yeah.
Thank you.
so just go on the
So
website
this
and you'll
is
see
a
the
Van,
boundaries.
Ben Howard, Old Owen.
Yeah, and typically, District 3 has been the hardest one to fill.
Mhm.
Been very challenging.
We talked about doing, an open position, redistricting and doing an at-large. but
A
then
few
we
years
have to
ago,
get a
because before the school board became the most coveted job in town, or the most political job in town, I don't know which, you couldn't get people to run. And then with some of the transition in the last few years, you got them lined up.
Ever since COVID, things have. just-
MAGA
everything's
politics and
changed.
politics and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, things
All right, let's go on to first read of policy 6210, purchasing of authorization and control. This is from our conversation that we had, what was that even?
While back.
But what,
The
I don't,
budget is the budget.
budget meeting, thank you, where the board
Oh.
said that they wanted, the admins to have approval over their budgets without having to get approval from Dan or anyone else. Did you guys, I don't, have a look at these, cause,
The only thing I had was the district reserves the right to rescind. I don't mind that verbiage, but I think that it should be with board approval.
yes. Cause yeah, I was the one who wanted something in there that said, hey, if we need to take this back if we need to, but I think board approval would be
Yeah,
great
no,
on there.
that's fun. I'm not opposed to that.
And I don't, do you have any other questions, Mary Ann or Mike?
This is random, it's no big deal, actually, I know that $15,000 in purchasing authorization and control, it says 15,000 in the future, I'd like to see that at 10,000, but that's a discussion in a process on a whole different day.
You're talking about the discretionary amount the superintendent has, is that what you're referring to, Mary?
Board approval for purchases of capital outlay items required when the aggregate total of a requisition exceeds 15,000.
Okay.
That's, right now I'm fine with it.
We can discuss that, yeah.
Yeah, that's
So
what
the
I'm saying. that's
purchasing,
the future.
I would like to know how often I've even done that, over 15,000 without even talking to the board. I don't know if I ever have, you know?
no, you do up to 15,000, but yeah.
Without having
above.
to come to the board.
Well-
It's typically for emergency situations,
Yeah,
is my
It's
understanding.
actually, 15's a low number, when you think about it as a percentage.
Fairly low for a position.
Yeah.
It's very low, and to lower it even more, there was an individual that had, another former board member had a problem with it as well, you know? But I don't understand it
I think
totally.
Just because we had such a budget shortfall this year and it's a little more control in keeping an eye on spending.
So the thing to,
Wants and needs.
I don't think I would change it, but we can
No,
have the
that's what I'm saying,
discussion,
leave
yeah.
it alone for now, but.
So let's just go ahead and, we're okay with this, add in the board approval, and then we'll do a second read at our next meeting.
okay, I'd like
right?
that one little thing though,
Okay.
before we get off that. Really, the control of that is, it's a two-pronged thing. Number one is that it's the budget that is given to the building and oversight of that. But the second of all that is that I'm seeing a lot more volume as far as wanting to utilize a purchasing card to expend that budget authority. So they're really two different things. The purchasing cards, when we commissioned additional work from SAO a number of years ago, when we had issues with missing receipts, we basically put in together a procedure that basically says, for purchases in excess of $100, there needs to be a pre-authorization request made of the finance office to approve that. So what we're running up against is, they're wanting to use building budget authority, but they're wanting to use a P card. The policy says you have to spend if you're trying to spend over $100, you have to ask for my permission. So it's kind of this circular thing where we've got two you've got something competing against what you're trying to do. So I think not only do you need to look at this, but you need to look at purchasing cards as well too, because more and more I'm seeing P cards being used for expending of building budget. So just something to consider. I don't have an answer for you tonight, but just to let you know that those two are kind of intertwined with each other.
Can I get, oh, go ahead.
Then we definitely need to look at the P card, but
Okay.
I think we should have more conversation as well. You know, if there's accounts that can be set up or
Yeah.
to eliminate. the
Okay.
P card.
Yeah, I just wanted to make everybody aware. I'm seeing a lot, and again, that's just the way things are, a lot more use of P cards, vendors not willing or able to take purchase orders, but they're wanting a credit card basically for expenditure of building budget authority, so.
Can I get a motion to approve first read of policy 6210, purchasing, authorization, and control?
Motion to approve.
So we have a motion to approve first read of policy 6210, purchasing, authorization, and control. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Second read of 5400 personnel leaves. And before you talk about it, do we have any questions?
But did you see my email on that, guys? I can-
Yes. Cameron, do you have any questions? Cameron, and I'll just jump in here, if it ever gets too late, like we're here too long, you can leave. Don't think that you have to sit there the whole time. I mean, it's great, but I know you've got school, homework and all that, so I just throw that out there. Mike, any questions on it? Marianne? We have no questions.
I do appreciate that you guys give us one copy that's marked up and one copy that's clean. I really wanna say thank you. Whoever does that.
Good job, Kayla.
Thank you, Kayla.
Anything before we approve second reading?
No, unless there's any outstanding questions.
No.
I mean, you know, it's a
None.
discrepancy between the classified and the certificated. I don't believe any of that is in law, you know, but certainly I can track that down if we need to.
I think we're happy with what is here, correct? Okay. Can I get a motion to approve second read of policy 5400 personnel leaves?
I make a motion to approve as presented, second read.
So a motion to approve 5400 policy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we're good. Do you guys have any questions on second read of 5401 sick leave?
No.
This was a lot of red. Yes, a lot
They
of
made
red.
it really easy to just read through the rest.
Cameron, questions? Mike said no, Marianne. I have no questions, so can I get a motion to approve second read of 5401 sick leave?
I'll make that motion to approve 5401 sick leave.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, that one is good. First read of policy 5404 family, medical, and maternity leave. Did anyone have questions on this one?
No.
Questions or comments? Okay, no question. And you can stop me, Dan, if you want. I'm just
No,
trying
that's
to get
fine.
done. So,
That's fine.
so can I get a motion to approve first read of policy 5404 family, medical, and maternity leave?
I'll make that motion as well.
Okay, we have a motion to approve first read of policy 5404 family, medical, and maternity leave. All in favor? Aye. All right, that one's good. Oh, one more. First read of policy 6100 revenues from local, state, and federal sources. Any comments on that?
No.
Questions or anything?
That
Dan,
was all
Dan or
written.
Dan, anything on that one?
It was all written.
Yeah, we have no questions or comments on that, so can I get a motion to approve first read of policy 6100, revenues from local, state, and federal sources?
Motion to approve?
So we have a motion to approve first read of policy 6100, revenues from local, state, and federal sources. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Policies for 6/24/24 are in our packet. Everyone can find those, correct? We don't need to discuss. Superintendent's report.
So just moving along, the budget's probably the biggest thing that we've got going right now. As we end the year, it is very common. I've got a foot in next year already, trying to figure all this out. There's still some moving parts. I learned some things today that I didn't know yesterday or last week, and not numbers wise, but employee wise. And so we're moving forward on that. Just to let you guys know, and we did with the last announcement of what we were gonna trim, the purchase of the computers for the CT program at the high school, we got them from 80 to 72,000.
Okay.
And just pushing back on them, saying, you know, and sometimes it's a matter of just saying, hey, give us a better price. And so that was 2 iterations of going through that. And then a budget for the department of 75,000 versus what we currently have. And we'll get into the various ways that things would be coded and how did we end up where we are. Because ultimately, we want every penny that's generated by a program to go to that program. But if we have a fund balance minimum and we're connected to contracts that we have to pay on a certain thing, then some of it is decided for you, how you end up doing it. So we've got to sort of recalibrate some of the expectations and priorities of what we're doing to make sure that all of that goes there. But and Dan's working on a model to make sure that the electricity, the plumbing, the water, garbage, any of the utility costs that are from those classrooms or the CT building get charged back to that program. And so those will go into the expenditure part. And I don't know that there's an exact science to it other than proportional. And I would even suggest, because so much of it is equipment, that you add 10% to it. You know, and I think that would be justifiable, at least to the tech building.
That would be a replacement cost / fund.
But, and what that would do, the purpose of that, it doesn't change anything necessarily, other than it wouldn't show this balance that is shown right now, because the money's actually being coded to the right place. And it would also get us closer to the minimum expenditure. That's ultimately the goal. Talked with Sultan Middle School about their open science position. They needed just the science position because they've got the STEM part of it covered, is what they told me. And that's about it.
So next study session, we had said we were gonna do, when we did the Healthy Survey training meeting or whatever, we said we were gonna devote a study session to that. Are you guys good with doing that next study session?
Yeah.
And then, when do we wanna discuss review, evaluation? Do we wanna do a workshop before? But I think that's more just us.
I think you and I need, and Crystal need to meet another time, now that you've updated, and made it more for us of what we decided we wanted to do.
I can add in the other one, and then the other topic, and then I can email that to you guys. And then let Marianne and I know if you like that. And then we'll need to get together to come up with actually, you know, what do we want to say, this is what we want you to do, kind of thing.
Whatever you guys are comfortable with, I will just say, what I've continued to focus on is those 4 goals. And that covers not nearly as broad as that tool is, because it's got so much in it.
Yeah.
But,
It's
you know,
impossible to do the whole, not impossible,
well,
but
I can remember Gary Cohn, because he was the Everett superintendent at the time, we were part of that, and he had his board president come in and talk to all of us, and then I said, you know, we're not gonna do this whole thing. You can't. Or you can, I mean, you can make a choice, but it's not really different than what we do with principals or principals do with teachers. Many of the teachers are on a focused one, where of the 8 criteria, they take one and go really in depth.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sometimes they'll move somebody back to comprehensive, or once every 4 or 5 years you do a comprehensive. Just depends. And for a new teacher, first 3 years you have to do it.
Well, if
before
we
you
do
can
this as like a workshop or whatever it is, I think it's more of, this part would be us, and then we sit down with you. So I think that would be just us going over what we want.
Yeah.
And then once we figure that out, we were working on a timeline too, to like, you
So
know.
that there's a cover sheet, so the super is very, this is
You
the
know
timeline
exactly.
that we're gonna do, and, yeah.
Whatever we do needs to be tied back to our mission and vision.
And so we talked about that too, like strategic plan, but we need to get a new strategic plan so that we can, that can be updated, so that's something too. And so, yeah, we need to find somebody to do that still.
So there is a trend with superintendents doing that, leading that, just so it's not, 'cause I've talked to a number of people about it, and I've seen the commercial ones, and ours was sort of a hybrid. We had a hard time getting on the same page, if you remember the fun times we had.
But yeah, we did discuss, once we get a new strategic plan, it'll be easier to tie everything together with our current vision and goals and everything, so. Well, we can either do a workshop before and just not invite Dan, or we can do something on a different day.
Let's you and me and Crystal meet one more time, and then schedule with, Isaac and,
We can have Kayla send something out.
yeah.
Well, I'll just say this, and I don't know if this is the right format to say it in. I know what my future entails, and I need to talk with you guys about that.
Do you wanna are we doing executive session?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
Anything else for
I
the
made a
meeting part?
decision quite a while ago. I've already told Gigi what it is. But I need to talk to the rest of the board, and,
That'll answer some questions. So
Yeah.
we're good with doing healthy use survey for our next study session?
Yes.
Right, okay.
Yes.
And then workshop beforehand, we can think about it, or email about it, okay? Anything else? Okay, we're gonna adjourn, and then let's do is 5 minutes okay? 5 minute break?
Yeah, I guess.
And then we're gonna start back up, we'll start back up at 8,
It's 8:39,
45.
so can I make a motion to adjourn to,
8:45.
to 8:45 for executive session?
Yes, and we're all in favor of that.
Aye.
All right, oh, there you go.